Start broadcast now. This is Babbott's Only doing another live stream. Everyone, welcome to the stream. Let's see here. Do a sound check, baby check. Everyone, welcome. Sounds good. And the topic for today is having it all in a system the man has designed for you to fail. Hold on a second. And nobody's in chat yet, so let's see who's going to be first. Let me get my book here. Sometimes I'll write down notes, jot down ideas. And like I said, the title is Having It All in a System the Man has designed for you to fail. We have here is a system designed for you to fail. And I was just looking for my phone here, and just so I know how much time I've got. How much time we've got today, I'm not sure. I think we might go up until 1 or 2. Excuse the late start at 10 because this morning we had football practice with Don Bosco, our arch rival. And like I said in my previous video, the sports goggles review video, if you can't beat them, join them. It's just that every time we go to a tournament and we see the Don Bosco team, we're always going, okay, looks like they're going to win the tournament again. So what happened is last week was finally the kids got out of school and we're on summer break. So a lot of these schools have summer football programs. And unfortunately, our school doesn't have a football program. So fortunately for us, we're going, okay, since we don't have a summer football program at a school, we decided to go, well, let's go with our rival's football program that has a winning program, that has a winning culture. So that's what we're doing this morning. And it's Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. So 2 hours, and it takes me about an hour to get back home. Usually the kids are hungry afterwards. We'll grab some breakfast and get home. And this is where I start. I scheduled it at 10 o'clock. So like I said, that's going to be the schedule for this summer at least. And so far we've got, let me refresh what we have here. We've got 5 people watching. I don't know if I count or not, but no one has commented yet. So we're just waiting for the first person to make their comment. Who will be the first one to make their comment? So I was just talking about my schedule this morning, and we're just playing or practicing football almost every day. What else is on our schedule is Michael B is coming. So this will be probably the last live stream until we are finished with his trip. He's staying for about a month. So we're talking about a month where I might not do any regular public uploads. I might do some unlisted. I might not do some unlisted videos here and there during that month, but don't hold your breath. So if we do anything, it'll just have to be after. And the other challenging part when it comes to when I have visiting friends over here is it's challenging for me to vlog at the same time when it's more important to be in the moment. Just like our friends are living here in the moment. Sometimes or most of the time, we want to be in the moment also, and it's just sometimes it's disruptive or awkward when all of a sudden the moment gets disturbed by just all of a sudden we start vlogging or we just have the camera, because when people are being recorded, they tend to second guess themselves. And especially over here, when it's a shy culture, that it's like, oh, now I have to think about what I have to say because it's being recorded, when it's just better just to let the moment develop itself. And it's more important for the person who's actually here to be in that moment also. And if the camera is, if I'm in the moment also, it's just, I don't want to disrupt the moment by just pulling out the camera and start vlogging, where I'm just more concerned about vlogging than being part of the moment also. So that's where I say that I say, sorry, I'm just going to have to talk about it, that a lot of it wasn't documented because of it. And sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. It just depends on the situation. So that's what we have on schedule is Michael B, and some other developments, some other interesting developments, some other side stories. Now that Michael B is arriving, kind of look at my warm up over here. Some of the subjects that I could use to warm up with. I was at the bank yesterday, and I was talking to my bank manager because Michael B plans on starting a bank account over here, because he's made it known that he wants to start a corporation and buy property through the corporation over here, where the majority of the corporation, of course, is going to be citizens, local citizens. So the first step is he wanted to start a local bank account to do transactions. And I asked our bank manager, what are the requirements? And the usual for citizens, local citizens, it just requires one government issued ID and you can start a bank account. But when it comes to non-citizens, I think they require two government issued IDs and some forms that need to be signed and disclosed. So it's just additional forms for a foreigner to do it, to start a bank account. And then it gets submitted. And if it gets approved, then he starts a bank account. So I was making small talk with the bank manager. And the first person to comment is Pico. So Pico, welcome to the live stream. I got your email and responded to it, and I sent you an enlisted video in response. So thank you very much. I don't know how much of that you want to discuss publicly on the live stream or in the live chat, but I'll let you decide, and then I'll elaborate, or I'll discuss however you want to, whatever you want to talk about. And what's unique, or what coincidentally or kind of serendipitously, it's kind of an accident, like something. Well, the fact that we have no more channels and we have no more videos, I just kind of wanted to point out how there's just kind of more freedom for us to talk or move around without the constriction of previous videos, because people were saying, oh, you're doing this, oh, you're doing that. And we're like, what do you mean? What are you talking about? Because what are your claims based on? What? Because there are no videos. As far as everyone is concerned, all I've got is these live streams and a video of goggles and a video of football. Other than that, any other outlandish claims, slanderous, libelous statements has no bearing or no basis, because There are no videos or channels for you to be making your claims, making your claims based on. And Pico says, let's keep the what's going on confidential. There's too many envious people, haters, and that's true. I have to agree. That's why one of the things I wanted to like title this video was, you can't have everything. I repeat, you can't have everything. The system is designed for you to fail. Okay. I usually, people who are successful in their personal life are failures in their personal life, or there's people that they're successful in their personal life, but very dismal or big huge failures when it comes to their personal life. Then we've got just the complete envious haters no matter what you do, where these people are both complete failures in both their personal life and complete failures in their personal life, also their professional life and their personal life, which is and because misery loves company, if I'm a failure all around with my professional life and I'm a failure all around with my personal life, then of course I want everybody to be in the same boat as I am also, because I will never have any success in any of that. So that's what we have over here, where we have a system where a majority of the people fall in one or two or both of those categories. We have certain people, like over here in the Philippines, we probably have a lot of people that are successful with their personal life, but as you could see, when it comes to their professional life, they're very happy with their family, they're very happy with their relationships, even though it's like multiple families or multiple relationships. But then we have a situation where, since they're in a third world country, they're not very successful when it comes to supporting or providing for them, which causes a lot of misery and suffering. So for the people who are envious or haters, then you don't really have to worry about that, because you're in the same group also as them. Hold on a second. My throat is so dry. I'm going to get some more water. I'll be right back. So thank you for the people that are slowly joining the live stream. And like I said, there's not a lot of people that are going to be here because, like I said, I think one is because short notice, and two, like Michael B, he is busy like right now. Like I said, like it's as we speak, he's probably busy packing or something like that, or he's in so he's getting ready for his return trip over here. So that's exciting times coming up for him anyway. But for everybody else that's going to be waiting for our regular, and for the people who are wondering where I've been at lately, for the people who get unlisted videos, you could probably see what I'm up to on a daily basis. And so far, because Michael B's return trip, that's getting ready for it. That's really all the time I have for is the unlisted videos. I mean, what did people really expect me to do? So I'll be right back. Let me get some water. For those people that are here right now, don't go anywhere. We've got more live streaming coming up. Okay, I am back. So I was talking to my bank manager, and I told him about Michael B's plans, about how he was going to start an account, and I told him one of the things he's going to be doing is he's going to be with the account. He's going to be doing a lot of things. I said he's going to be buying property, and he said, "Well, foreigners can't buy property unless he plans on buying it through his wife or his fiance or something like that." And I told him, "Well, not exactly." I said he's going to be doing it through a corporation, which is safer to do than buying it through your spouse or your fiance or your wife or your girlfriend. Because I told him that he probably, I said the plan is for him is not to get married, is what I told him. And he goes, why? Because there's a lot of foreigners that come here to get married. And I said, one of the biggest problems about getting married is a lot of the times the girls won't show who they really are, who they truly are, until they get married. And he says, at first he kind of agreed, but then he says it's kind of stereotypical. He says, but there is situations where some girls will be there true to themselves, and they'll be the same, or they'll be true even after marriage. And I said, yes, that's true, but that's kind of impossible when you're dealing with somebody with a lot of money. And he kind of looked at me and he says, yeah, I agree. When it comes to people with a lot of money, for example, like Michael B and all of our other friends who are successful in their professional life, I repeat, we have a community now that are successful in their professional life. It's their personal life that they need help with. And that's where we come in. And he says, yes, you have a very good point. It's very difficult to almost, let's just say, impossible to know what a girl's real motives are, because the money is always going to be there as an issue, especially not just with Michael B, but with all foreigners. You're never really going to know whether this is love or not, or for the love of money, until after they get a hold of that money themselves. Then you really get to see who they really are. The point is, I said, that is not something that we want to know or find out, because I told him you can have this committed relationship without actually even getting married. He has enough success. He has enough, when I say success, he has enough money to do so. He could take care of her, no problem, and her family, and get that commitment as if they were in a marriage, as if they were in a committed relationship, without actually having the formal marriage itself. So that way, we never have to really find out whether she's really true or not after they get married, because, like I said, you don't have to go through because he can afford it, or because he has the money, or he's successful enough professionally that he doesn't have to get this relationship to be formalized through a marriage, because the risk is too high for the risk versus reward. That the risk of getting married is too high, especially when there's a lot of I don't want to say money involved, but that money becomes something that will make it difficult or impossible whether she's into this relationship or not. Now, people will argue that, like, oh, it's going to be a real relationship, because of course it's not going to be a real relationship, because there's going to be this huge age gap. And if they have like a lesser age gap, or they're the similar age, like somebody, for example, in their 50s or 60s, and they get together with somebody in their 50s or 60s also, then they're going to say that it's more about love instead of money. And I would have to argue, no, that's not necessarily true. It's like you're still, money is also going to be an issue regardless of how old they are. The biggest problem with that statement is you're stuck with an old person versus a young person. And for someone with your success, you deserve what you want. And like most men, we're visual. We want somebody young versus somebody old. I mean, I mean, we're all starting from scratch anyway. So why not get what we want or have the best advantage of making a relationship work with somebody we want versus somebody we don't want? And of course, us men, we always prefer younger women versus older. And you could always make the argument that there's advantages and disadvantages to both, but it's up to you. It's up to your preference. And I think everybody knows exactly where we stand when it comes to Bebots Only, where we prefer when it comes to young or old. If you're going to be taking a risk anyway, you might as well take a risk with something that's worth taking the risk for. So let's go to the comments, which is just Pico. So this is very easy. Not much for me to talk about, not much for me to comment on, because it's just Pico's two comments, and one of them he deleted himself. He censored himself on top of that. So so that's kind of the one of the warm ups I wanted to get to is what the bank manager says about marriage, how we kind of agreed and disagreed and ended up agreeing that a girl or a woman or a wife or a spouse has the tendency here in the Philippines to only show who she really is after marriage. And he was saying that's kind of a stereotype that might not be true always, but it's always true when you're dealing, especially with foreigners, because money is always going to be involved. And so once money is involved and it's always going to be involved, then you're never going to know how a person truly is going to be until it's too late. You don't want to take that risk, since there is no reason for you to take that risk. So if you guys agree, disagree, let me know in the comments, and I'd be more than happy to further discuss. Other than that, let's get to the other warm-up subjects. Okay, and I talked about this earlier about the death of our channel or the death of our videos, and it's hold on. And I would have to say, it's actually a blessing in disguise. You don't know how many times I can walk into a room or walk into a restaurant and just all of a sudden my spider sense starts tingling. That especially if I'm walking somewhere and I've got my camera on and people are looking, and they might be able, or some people might have been able to put two and two together and say, hey, that's the person vlogging about under as Bebots Only. It's like, I think that's him, or that must be him, because it's a pretty close community over here. Everybody kind of is up on everybody's business. So if you're doing something unusual, people will tend to talk about it, and it just kind of gets around. There was a time when our videos would get viral, and especially since I'm doing a lot of the filming now where I'm actually living versus when I used to, and it used to be on the other side of the world. Once I left it, it's like it might as well be in another country. But now, since it's kind of closer to home, I could actually run into these people that I'm doing vlogs with, or people that are watching my vlogs, or the people that are in my vlogs that are watching my vlogs, a combination of those, while I'm just at a maybe soccer tournament, or I'm just going to get milk and cigarettes or something like that, and I'll run into these people. So it's kind of making it more and more not difficult, but more awkward, because I'm losing less and less of my anonymity and my invisibility. As you can see, as the videos were getting more and more popular, not just with people abroad or in the West or in Australia or in America or in Europe, but locally also. More and more Filipinos are locally are recognizing the videos and our work. And and it's that's gonna be more bad than good, because when you're helping people or when you're doing this kind of work, you always have to wear a mask, because you're going to get a lot of static or envy or hate for the people that you're not helping, or the people that can't help, or both. So it's better to have a mask. And for me, the specifically is because I also have a family to protect. If I'm one of these single guys, not married, no family, then I could be more reckless with my vlogs or with myself or with my identity. But when you have to worry about them, like Spider-Man as an example, the first once people, like once Venom found out who his identity was, that he was Peter Parker, the first people they attacked was Aunt May and his aunt, his family members, and also his girlfriend or his wife, Mary Jane. So when you do this kind of work, you can do it. You can have a family also, but you also have to respect some of the rules and boundaries when you do this kind of when you're helping people. And the important thing is, like I said, knowing where the rules and the boundaries are for you to work properly. And a lot of it was becoming gray and becoming less and less defined, and it was just kind of part of it's just a part of becoming popular. It's just part of it's just part of success. When you become successful, you're going to be breeding more haters, or you're going to be getting attention of more haters, as well as you get more attention, you're probably uh, to just to be I mean, to be realistic, you're just going to get more attention from haters than you're going to get attention from people that are going to be jealous of your success. So the good thing was, now that it's gone, all of it is gone. There's almost kind of like a sigh of relief now that, like, I could say, "What video? I don't know what you're talking about. There's no evidence or any proof of any of your claims." And the best part about it, for the people who are still watching the unlisted videos, I mean, what did people expect to happen? It's just like, just because the videos or the channels got deleted, that I'm still not going to be here. And I was talking to a friend about the biggest difference between this time versus 2013 was, all of a sudden we have this big, huge community behind our channels now, or behind our movement, or behind our ideas now, where we have a group of successful people that are successful in their professional life, but they also want to be successful in their personal life. Because if you're not successful in your personal life, then what is all this work, all this sacrifice, all this hard work that you're putting into your professional life, if you don't have someone special to share it with? You might as well, all the success in your professional life would be meaningless. Then at the same time, it's hard to have a successful personal life without a successful professional life. And that's where you kind of find the balance. And a lot of relationships struggle, or a lot of personal relationships struggle, because the role the man has when it comes to providing for a relationship, especially if they're in a committed relationship, and the role of the woman is to bring the sex, or to bring the pussy into the relationship, and the man is supposed to hunt the meat, be the provider, bring home the bacon by going hunting, and in this modern society, in this modern age, be bringing the money, because the money equals food and other discretionary spending like entertainment or vacations. But if you can provide the basics like food, shelter, security, education, and some entertainment, then you're doing your role in that relationship. while the woman gives you a reason to go out and go hunt for those things, to provide for those things. So that's kind of the role of men and women normally is. It's when that role has been altered or has been changed is when it becomes a problem. So let's get to the comments, and still no comments, which is fine. I'll just keep talking on my own. So let me just check if people can hear me just fine. Is when it becomes. I mean, can I get a yes? We can hear you. I'm worried that I've been talking for the last 30 minutes and I haven't gotten one comment. So if somebody, it doesn't have to be anyone in particular. Somebody can just say that we can hear. I mean, I can hear myself, so it probably means that everybody else can hear me. But I just want one person out there just to confirm. Yes, we can hear you. We're just not making any comments as a confirmation, other than, uh, of course, Pico. I said, and Kenneth is still here. Kenneth has an interesting question. He says, "Are you still in contact with this girl in the picture?" And the answer is no, because I have no reason to keep contact with the girls in that picture. Most of the time, how I do it, because I'm just one person, is if I see a particular girl, especially this one, she's quite stunning. If you ever got a chance to see her video, her introduction video, I was flabbergasted. I was floored when I saw her in person. She is just as beautiful in her pictures as she is in person. It's just her smile, the way she talked. She was just one of those girls that are just another one in a million girl. And this is the story. This is always the story with girls like her, is that there's no way you can meet a girl like this on your own. If, for example, you're an American or you're an Australian or you're European, there's no way that the locals or the Filipinos will ever let a girl like this go to the foreigners, because they're not going to let you. The Filipinos or the locals will let you will let you have the ugly ones, the single moms, the single mom bar girls, the ones with the humpbacks, the ones with the lady boys, the ones with kids from five different locals and five different Americans, Japanese, Ishkabibbles, Australians, Europeans, Germans. But there's no way that you're going to ever have access to a beautiful girl, especially this one. So the answer to her was, so yes, as much I wanted to see her again, the answer was, so after I meet her, after I'm introduced to her, what I do is that I upload her video publicly. And if people will reach out to me and say, hey, we would like to see more of this girl, and what do I need to do? It's usually, okay, well, sign up and give me a reason to go see this girl again, so I can make more content with her and I can build a better relationship with her, so I could keep talking to her and keep seeing her again. But once I met this girl and once I made her introduction video, and once I uploaded it and made it public and had like not only thousands of views but tens of thousands of views, I think she reached over 100,000 views before her video was deleted. And nobody answered, nobody responded, nobody, I mean, there was plenty of interest, but there was no action that would lead to any action that would continue any relationship with her, was the problem. I had one guy probably show up maybe 4 or 5 months later saying, hey, I want to meet this girl in this picture in person. And I said, that's 4 or 5 months ago. With girls like that, you can't wait 4 or 5 months, because they've just got so much shit going on. So many guys, so much attention, that if you blink, the window of opportunity to have access to her is gone. And that's why ugly girls and pirates and humpbacks and donkey faces and Klingons with big foreheads and average plain Janes with fucked up teeth, are very popular with foreigners because those people are everywhere and they're very common, and you don't need anybody to have access to them or to see them or to meet them. But for girls like this, where they're beautiful girls, there's no way you could ever meet a beautiful girl on your own. I mean, there's going to be some outliers here and there, but even then, for you to develop anything with them, you have no chance whatsoever because a lot of it requires time and patience and understanding, especially of the culture. And the Filipino culture, like with any culture, it's culture is learned and it's only learned from experience. And it's this lack of experience that most for the lack to no experience whatsoever, other than going to the bars and all of the tourist places. But when it comes to regular people, you will not have any experience or any understanding of them. So that will be one of the main reasons why you will never have access to beautiful girls. Oh, you can get access to beautiful girls after they become single moms and to provide for their families and their baby's daddy, become a bar girl. But we're not interested in that. This is Bebots only, and there's no room for bar girls or prostitutes when it comes to Bebots only. So that's the response to that, Kenneth. It's kind of a long answer to a very short question. I should have said no. Kenneth says, of all the girls on your vid, I think she's the prettiest. And I agree. She definitely is in my top 10. I think her and Tristel is one of the one hit wonders, like one and done girls that I've only met once. I that I think if I had to criticize her for anything, they even did their gentleman dance. Also, there was they danced on top of it. So not only did she talk, did she walk, did she smile, she also danced in her. I have a video of them dancing out there that anyone listening to it could have seen, but obviously it doesn't exist anymore. So this is the internet. This is YouTube. If there's no video of it, it might as well not exist. It only exists now in memory. And if you didn't see it, I mean, imagine your loss for not ever seeing her video. And why is somebody calling me right now? It's not. I'm always worried when my phone rings and my landline rings. I wonder if it's important. I'll be right back. I should have known it was spam. I thought it was something like an emergency when my cell phone rings and then my landline rings, and it's just Globe spamming me with some kind of offer for a free phone if I sign up for a long-term plan or postpaid versus prepaid. Right now, I go prepaid where I pay $7 a month, which gives me unlimited text messaging to all networks and unlimited voice calls to within the network and unlimited Viber and FB Messenger. So it's a pretty good value for $7. Yes, I don't have any data, but I usually don't need data when I have Wi-Fi at home. If I need data, I'll just wait until I get home. And most of the time when I'm out on the road, I usually just use Messenger anyway, so that's already included. So the point I wanted to say over here with Kenneth is that as a foreigner or as an American, you will never have access to the normal pretty girls here in the Philippines. You can have access to the normal ugly ones, but you will never ever have access to the normal pretty ones. They're like the non-bar girl, young pretty girls, because the locals are not going to let you. The local boys are not going to let you have them. And Mining Free is here, so I'm sure he would agree with me. Kenneth says her attitude seems nice too, different from the others in the videos. It's hard to say with just one video, but I didn't see her again after that video, so it's kind of hard. There was probably like I saw her that weekend, and I needed to see her the following weekend while she was still kind of still warm or in play before she moved on. And Kenneth says the Jejimons would swarm her, and he says, yeah, absolutely. So we're saying hello to Mining Free. Yeah, lots of lurkers today. I mean, we always have lurkers, like esoteric lurker, but in addition to him, we have additional lurkers. So it's kind of weird for a person that doesn't have any channels and that doesn't have any videos to have this many lurkers. But as you can see, the interest is still high no matter what happens. Even if there's no channels and there's no videos, people are still interested and they still want to hear. So we got people commenting over here, Mining Free, Pico, and Kenneth. So we got 3 people and the rest are just lurking. So welcome to the live stream. Kenneth says, I think you still can get your channels and videos back. Some people threatened lawsuits on YouTube and got theirs back. Seriously, I don't have the resources or anybody would care about my small channels. So it would be nice, but like I said, I like having the anonymity back again where I'm invisible. I like being a ninja again. I like to the point where like nobody knows who I am again. So like I said, it's a blessing in disguise, especially in the direction that we're going, because one of the good things that came out of the channels getting deleted, it's one thing to talk about all the bad things that came out of the channel being deleted. Is number one is we have no more record of our experiences. We have no way to share our memories anymore instantly and recall it anymore. So obviously that's a bad thing. But there's something else much bigger that is we have to look at it as well. Like usually when a loss, something like this happens, when people suffer a big loss, especially on YouTube or the internet, all your channels, all those years, all those videos, all that time, we have to also look at it as not just a negative, but also, it takes no skill to look at the negatives, but where do you go from here? How do you take something, how can you say what good can come out of something like this? Okay. One of the statements that I think it was Michael B who told me this was, it's going to be more difficult for you to recruit new sponsors. It's going to be difficult for you to get fresh people to know about you. And the answer to that is I barely have enough time for the community that I have now. Like I said, this is not a job, even though all the girls always ask Michael B and always ask our friends, whoever comes and visit. The first thing the girls always ask me, I remember I was talking to this one girl we just met, is they always ask me is, how long have I been working in specifically for Michael B? And I said, I forgot how long I have been working for Michael B. But the biggest problem for working for Michael B is I have never gotten a raise and I have never gotten a day off, is usually what my response is to the girls when they ask me how long I've been working for them. And as much as people like to think that this is a job, the answer is it's not a job. Because number one, I am a horrible, terrible business person. I always say, like I told the boss, I said, you could be one of two things. You could be a great yoga instructor or you could be a good businesswoman, But I told her, you cannot be a good businesswoman and you cannot be a great yoga instructor at the same time. You could be one or the other, just like business and friends don't mix. It's like either we're friends and friends are friends, and business and business and friends don't mix. Same thing with this one. Is this is not a business, because all we are a bunch of friends, and I want to keep it that way, because once it starts to turn into a business, then it becomes work, and it becomes not about the and it's not fun anymore. And I always said that I will always keep doing Bebots Only for Bebots Only no matter what happens, is because for me it's something that I enjoy doing. I have to almost say to the point that I find it, I'm having fun when I'm doing these videos, even if I'm lecturing, even if I'm having like a horrible time, even if the girls are giving me faces, even if the girls eat and run, I still find excitement in the adventure of well, what what the unpredictability of this, unpredictability of it all. Same thing when with gamblers, when they're addicted to gambling because of the titillating feeling that they get, that like, oh, this might be good, or oh, this might be bad, or I might win over here, and the highs and lows that come with gambling. The same thing when it comes to me spending time with the girls, meeting the girls, and especially, like I said, the most exciting for me is when I'm meeting somebody for the first time, because I never really know what they're gonna be like or what their personality is gonna be like. Yes, we're from a same culture, same language, but we still have our own individual personalities, even if you even like twins that are born and have had the same shared experiences will still almost have opposite personalities. It's these personalities that I find myself excited about, and the the possibilities and the potential is what gets me excited. And for example is, I just sent an unlisted video last night, and before I talk about that, let's go to the comments. Data is good for G. Oh, okay, data is good for GPS is what Pico is saying. Mining Free says, I'm local, so all mine. Yes, that's true, Mining Free. So Pico is saying there's more than 10 lurkers now. As you can see, there's like only 4 of you commenting and more than that listening. On my deathbed, I will relive all those memories. Memories. Got it. So Kenneth looks like he's a open-minded, civilized person. So we'll give you guys some help over here. We'll try to make sure that the moderators kind of outnumber the haters over here. So Kenneth, welcome to the please please, we trust that your judgment over here, that you're kind of a friend of the channel, or you're kind of open-minded when it comes to adult subject matters over here. So welcome to our group of moderators over here, Kenneth. Kenneth says, I think the problem here is your haters are equating you to the Aussie guy who may, and they will not stop hating until they well, like I said, I have no control over other people's actions, over also what other people think, because people, regardless if it's truth or not, or if it's fact or not, when they want something badly enough, when they want something to believe something badly enough, then it's a fact for them. And the fact that we don't have any videos to support their claims anymore is the good part. So but that really has no bearing here nor there about, I mean, our life and what we do and our lives over here in the Philippines, and what we want to do with our lives over here in the Philippines has nothing to do with them. I mean, so when it comes to, so now that so let me talk about, before I talk about the new girls that I met. specifically this one girl that I met. So has anybody seen the unlisted video yet? Because I checked this morning, there was only like, I think maybe 5 people have seen it. I sent it to maybe a dozen people, and I think only half of you have seen the unlisted video. But let me finish my thought when it comes to what I said earlier about how that because I don't have any more videos or any more channels, it's going to be more difficult to recruit or to meet or for new sponsors to know about us or for us to join the community. And my answer to that is, if they're looking for me, they'll find me. But I'm at a point right now where I've got so much work that it's hard for me to kind of keep up with the existing number of our community right now. It's getting to the point where that there's not enough of me to go around, that people are revolting. I know, for example, Marcus has let me know that he's not happy that I'm going to be out of commission for the next month, because he wanted to also come in at the same time. And I told him that would be unfair, since I'm only one person. And Michael B was very flexible, and he says he doesn't mind if you go with him on a short trip. And I said no, because if you're here, once you're here, I just want to focus on your situation. And I think it's a disservice not only to all of you, but to me also, for me to kind of be divided in too many directions. And people will just have to wait their turn. And it's kind of so, I mean, waiting and I know Americans can be disciplined when it comes to waiting for their turn, but when it comes to something that gets them emotionally excited, it's almost impossible for them to do so. And that's where I run into problems, where people want to come and I told them I have to turn them down, and I say, no, I can't be with you because somebody else already has been waiting and they waited their turn. Now it's their turn. But he's going to be staying a month. And I said, well, I can't control that, but I committed to him, and I would do the same thing for you. If your turn came up and it's a month, then I would be committed to you just as much, because he waited his turn. He scheduled it when nobody else is scheduled. So it's the only right thing to do. It's the only fair thing to do. It's the only just thing to do. And everybody knows fairness and justice is my forte. It's actually written in my birth certificate as my middle name. Let justice and fairness overcome my wrath is how it's going to be written it was written on my birth certificate. Justice and fairness over my wrath. And as you can see, a normal person, after their channels gets deleted and all their work gets wiped out, that they would be filled with wrath. And let my mercy and my constructiveness, let my productivity overcome my wrath, is usually what let's do something. Let's not take a tragic event, and tragic events happen all the time, but there's always, especially when it comes to tragic events that are usually kind of out of your control. And of course you could argue, well, that's your channel, you have to take responsible, but it's still not my responsibility for the actions of the people that are in charge. And the only thing I can do is control my actions. But the point is that as long as we have our friends, like I said, the difference between now and then is we have this community, and that is this support. So in light of all this tragic event, in light of all the channels getting wiped out, I still have a lot of work to do. And some good news, some great news, actually. So good news is, in the last live stream, we were able to raise enough money to have our preemptive car repairs, which I'm going to do probably after Michael B's trip. So that's kind of good. It was like over like $550 worth of car repairs that we were able to raise money for. Why? Because safety is our number one concern, and that means having a well-maintained, well-serviced vehicle that has parts that are new that need to be replaced from normal wear and tear. So that's number one. Number two, let's get to it, is thanks to our community, our wonderful, generous, supportive, understanding, patient, benevolent, just all around my brotherhood. Their brotherhood was able to band together. I would like to say, in light of all these tragic events, in light of these dark times, in light of these hard times, we were able to come together as a brotherhood and come up with the last $5,000 needed to put together our BebotsOnly Airbnb timeshare bachelor pad. Imagine that. So I don't want to really disclose the people who are involved in making this house happen, this dream home happen. If they want to talk about it in the live chat. But imagine that. I think that if it wasn't for the channels getting deleted, I don't think we would have been able to have the motivation. But I didn't have the motivation either, because I said, oh, that's going to be a big headache. That's going to be another expense, because once you have a house and another house, that's, if it's not being rented or if it's not being occupied, then you're going to have like monthly expenses. You got electricity. I mean, you're going to have association, you're going to have maintenance, you're going to have all these expenses. So I didn't really know if I wanted to shoulder all that additional expense, and I didn't need to, since I had plenty of channels kind of going on already, that I was almost saying that, like, oh, good, I've got enough on my plate with all these channels and all these subscribers and all these videos and all these live streams, that I really don't have enough room in my plate for this house. So I said, we don't need, so it's good. I'm almost using it as an excuse that we're short $5,000 to buy a house. And this is not just any house. This is a house in a nice, secure, gated community, brand new. It's got a clubhouse. It's got a community pool. But what makes this community so great is it's going to be a university community. Even Mining Free in his last live stream said, not only is it going to be in a university, it's going to be, I don't want to say the name of the university, but it's going to be that university, that kind of university. So this is not one of these situations where you can wait until the university is finished, completed, a brand new, huge university. This is going to be a university town. And once universities like this get established and become successful, because it has so much money supporting it, that it's just guaranteed to be successful. The communities around it going to be successful. It's going to require commerce, and all that is going to require housing, and the fact that we're going to be in it before all that is developed. Because once the school starts, it's going to have a dental school, it's going to have accounting, it's going to need all these stores, and all those stores are going to need people, and all those people are going to need a place to live, and all the students are going to be there. So it just because the channels disappeared, it refocused my attention back to this house. And what is happening also is a lot of the girls have mentioned to me, it's like, hey, now that our relationship is progressing, because relationships over here, they last a lifetime. I mean, I was at the point where I was when I used to do this with the first generation in Angeles City, where I was there all the time, that I was calculating the costs of traveling and staying there to renting a place, and it almost got to a point, but the fact that there was just no community behind renting a place, there wasn't that many people coming. I mean, the fact that only one person was coming every year was just a fool's errand. I mean, to go over there just for me wasn't enough. Versus now, we actually have a community where we have like one different person coming each month, that it makes sense to have our own place right now. So, and a private place for the girls to be to entertain, for them to feel safe. Because I was just saying, the girl that I just met last week for the very first time, she's young, she's beautiful, she's got the whole world ahead of her, and she's impressionable. And she is, the problem is, if she gets hooked up with the wrong people, she can really get hurt to the point where she'll waste her life, and she'll waste her youth and beauty. And I'm just not going to stand for that. So it was, this situation was unusual in terms that, like, she met me on her own. Originally, the first time we were supposed to meet, we were supposed to have a friend introduce us and then go from there. But since that first meeting didn't come together, so we were talking, now we're talking directly. And she was talking about what happened to you, how come you didn't show up? And I said, well, because I thought you weren't going to be there, because you didn't say anything. Usually I'll follow up that day, and I'll follow up and make sure that you're showing up, instead of just giving me lip service saying you're showing up just to save face, because people do that all the time. They'll say yes just to save face, even though they have no intentions of whatsoever what they're saying, just to save face. Because if you say no, I can't do that, or no, that's not something that I'm capable of, then they're losing face by saying no. But they'll say yes, even though it's better to say yes than to say no. Better to yes and save face than to be honest and say no. And I didn't want to waste my time or go over there and be stood up. I mean, that's, nobody wants to go through that if it could be avoided. So this time so I said, okay, fine. You said you showed up the first time. I will show up again. I will show up this time, whether we communicate that day or not. I'll go and I'll take a chance. I like you. I like our communication so far. And I was talking in the video, like I said, there's like this maybe 10 to 20% that she'll be there, and an 80% chance of failure. But nothing's going to happen if we just stay at home and do nothing about these odds. If there's a 20% odds, I think, in my opinion, she's worth it. I am the one who has to make that decision, because I'm the one who has to be out there to follow up on these things. And I was very glad I did, because when I showed up, I saw this beautiful girl. She was just sitting there waiting at the steps, waiting for me. And I said her name, and she looked up at me, and we instantly made this connection. And I said, let's become friends, because this is going to be the start of a long relationship, my intention anyway. And the most difficult part about this was, it was very awkward, because it was just her and I. And that's going to look really weird, or feel really weird for her, because it's just the first time she met, and she's worried that we go in somewhere, she might see somebody that she knows, or somebody that knows her indirectly, and it's going to get back. They're like, who was that person you were with? So we didn't really stop anywhere to have drinks or anything like that. So we just went through the drive-through and talked. And once our meeting was finished, so I didn't get a chance to all of us take pictures or videos of her, because because she didn't know anything about me, and she doesn't know anything about how I vlog and how I do this. So the better part of valor was just to keep it, don't make it awkward by start taking pictures and videos, and just wait until the next meeting and bring someone else. I plan on bringing another person, so she'll feel comfortable that she's with somebody. So that way it'll be more of a group thing versus, to be honest, less of a couple thing, because it was just her and I. It would look like we were a couple walking in anywhere. And even though, and what makes it worse is because, to be honest, was the age gap. And people are gonna say yes, but also kind of raise their eyebrows. And Normally, for me, it doesn't matter, but what we have to do is deal with her. This is all very new to her, and this is just a very sensitive point right now. So we have another meeting that I'm going to be scheduling soon, and I'm not sure how or what, but I'm still in contact with her. So that's what you saw in that video that I sent out that was unlisted. So I don't know how I got to that subject, but let's get back to the comments. And Pico says, nope, sorry, I have a job. Pico says, I haven't watched it yet. He hasn't watched the unlisted video yet because he has a job. What a excuse. Pico says to the haters out there, these unlisted videos are not R-rated. They're in fact quite boring. He says, well, they're boring to you because you're not really involved in them. But for somebody like me, they're very exciting because I'm involved in a lot of them. And he says, no name, no number, says, are you sure that none of your evidence was downloaded before you had your community start? And what really is this evidence? You can't really go up to any grand jury and it says, look at these people eating at McDonald's, or look at these people going to the dentist, or going to the mall is still not a crime. So if you want to use that as evidence, then go ahead and feel free to show as many people as you want. You could re-upload all our Jollibee videos and see how far that gets you. Remember, a thought does not make it, your thoughts does not make it real, and it does not make it a crime. And Pico says there was no R-rated content in any of the public or private videos. Yep. We show, except for some, I don't really have any profanity or any political viewpoints, actually, other than my own viewpoints. And we show no nudity, no violence. There are no violent pranks going on. There's no harassment where I'm asking strange girls or in colleges, do they want to perform any kind of oral or sexual favors or something. So like Pico's response is, is really going and eating at Jollibee is your evidence, then go knock yourself out. Kenneth says his evidence is a bunch of hungry girls eating chicken joy, jolly spaghetti, and French fries. Yeah, download that and see how many convictions you can get with that. And I think what was it that I think Michael B and I were talking about trafficking, and he says when it comes to trafficking, you can't traffic yourself. So I guess that's where I come in. I'm the trafficker. They're saying I'm the trafficker, but like I said, the girls are doing all this on their own. So in that situation, it's them trafficking themselves. But part of the trafficking is you have to be doing something illegal and eating Jollibee spaghetti and French fries. Even though it's very unhealthy, eating junk food here in the Philippines, you think eating junk food in America is unhealthy. No matter how unhealthy and how dangerous it is to eat junk food here in the Philippines, it's still not a crime to be even considered trafficking, since this eating junk food, no matter how unhealthy it is something they're doing on their own. And trafficking yourself to eat unhealthy junk food is by definition is not trafficking, because I think Michael B told me you can't traffic yourself even if it's just eating unhealthy French fries or junk food, is what his comment was. And Pico says, neither was there an objective reason to delete the channels. Absolutely, but there's humans behind it, Pico, and it becomes a subjective situation. It's never about objectivity, it's about subjectivity. Pico says to Kenneth Yamato, exactly. Michael V is here. What's up, Mining Free? Welcome, Michael V. And Anthony is here. Welcome to the stream, Anthony. Thank you very much for your last contribution in this last live stream. And now that we don't have our channels anymore, our live streams are basically our only form of, I want to say income. I don't want to really say income, but in terms of our funding. So before we had channels where we had AdSense, now we don't have any more videos or channels, or even this channel can't be monetized yet because it doesn't have the requirements yet. So for those people who believe in our ideas, who are fed up with the way modern Western society has treated them, who has said that you can't have it all, you can't have a professional life, you can't have a personal, you can't have a successful personal life. If you want to give them the finger and let them know that no, I want to have a successful professional life and a successful personal life, and I want to make sure that my options to do that are still around, please contribute generously to our cause of helping people be successful, not only in their personal life, but in their professional life, but in their personal life also. Because even though the system is designed for you to fail, and the saying goes, the cliche goes, you can't have it all, there are going to be individuals out there. There are very few of us that can say that, like, hey, screw the system, give them the middle finger and says, I want to have it all and I want to have it now. And I'm willing to do the work, the sacrifice, and whatever it takes to have it all, because everything has a cost. This reminds me of if I'm not too familiar with the anime, a lot of people are familiar. It's very popular, the Japanese anime. They're actually making a live TV series out of it. There's this popular Japanese anime called Full Metal Alchemist. I repeat, Full Metal Alchemist, where there was this two brothers. It's kind of like this sci-fi sorcery, and they wanted to bring their mother back to life. And the way the concept of Full Metal Alchemist is, for you to get something, you have to sacrifice something. And I think one of the things was that they were sacrificing something, another life. And what ended up happening is he ended up losing his brother's life, or something like that. But the point, what I'm saying over here, is you can have everything. You just have to be willing to make the sacrifices, because you can't have it all. And if you do have it all, are you willing to do the work required to have it all? And that's what we're here to do. And so just like in the concept of the Full Metal Alchemist, everything has a catch. And for us, we're very upfront with our catch. It's like, yes, you don't have access to a beautiful, if you're a foreigner, an American, you will never have access to any beautiful girls over here. And Mining Free, he's another objective first person. He's not part of BebotsOnly. He's another independent person that's living here. He will totally agree. It says, yeah, you will never have access to beautiful girls if you're a foreigner over here, because of so many obstacles. But there is a way to get around that rule. And it's okay. And then that's not what people want you to do, obviously. If you're successful in your professional life and you have a lot of money and you have a lot of influence and you have a lot of power at your work, and then on top of that, have a beautiful young girl from the Philippines that's going to be loyal to you, there's like, that's just no way. But you can have like an ugly bar girl or single mom prostitute or ladyboy, and everybody will be happy with that. They just kind of counteracts your success to be able to live in the Philippines. But yeah, you're with some ugly girl, so it just kind of completes itself. So you don't really have anything, because you might have success, but you're spending all that success on some ugly girl. And that's kind of good, because I'm not jealous of you spending all that money or success on an ugly girl. But I will be triggered if it's going to be somebody young and pretty, because we all value youth and pretty. We're still men, and we don't value old or ugly or average. We still like young, pretty, and staying that way is what men prefer. The problem is when it comes to the general population, they're usually with somebody old, ugly, or average, or in sissy situation, another man or another ladyboy, and you're sitting there performing homosexual acts with each other. And since with the ladyboy, sissy says he could just close his eyes, and does that still mean that you're having sex with another man? And the answer is yes. You are still, even though mentally you might not be feeling like you're homosexual, but physically having sex with another man is still a homosexual act. So let's go to the comments really quick. Yeah, so like I said, if the only videos that they've downloaded is people eating Jollibee, then go take that to court and see see how far that will get you. And the answer is it won't get you anywhere at all, is the answer. But people are triggered because their purpose is to make sure you can't have it all. So Anthony here is here. Welcome to the live stream. Yes, that was a very long thank you. For Anthony says, yeah, those videos are boring as hell. Did you see the one this morning that I sent you, Anthony? That one was specially for you. I know you like so I know you like our videos. So no name, no number says you called it evidence. The evidence, your evidence is still evidence of people eating at Jollibee. That is your evidence. It's like, we accuse this person of taking these hungry girls to eat Jollibee. What is your evidence? Yes, we have video of him taking these girls eating Jollibee. Do you have any other evidence other than them eating Jollibee? No, but our thought police, because we're the social justice warrior thought police over here, they're doing something else other than eating Jollibee. Do you have any proof of this? Do you have any eyewitness corroboration? Do you have any other evidence other than them just eating Jollibee? The answer is no, but our social justice warrior intuition tells us otherwise. Well, social justice warrior intuition is not evidence, is the answer. Pico says, especially the soccer games and the hour-long driving. Hey, if I have to suffer through that hour-long driving, so should you. Why should I be the only one suffering from the hour-long driving? You know, my butt's hurting, my back is tired, my lower back is sore. And those soccer games, the soccer videos, hey, what can I do? You know, I love my babies. And of course, I love whatever it is that they do. If you ever had a baby, everything they do you love, even if they fart or sneeze, it's all, you love everything about it because they're your babies. So so we've got one troll over here. You guys are just really reaching and really grabbing, but what else are you gonna do? I mean, you already did it. It's like the channels and the videos are gone. What else are you gonna do? Are you gonna stop this live stream? Obviously, they let this channel go. They let this live stream keep going. Why is that? I think it meant evidence in the tongue-in-cheek way. It says, yep, I'd rather do a million things than go through 4 hours of talking. Well, you can do other things. Like some people, while they're doing, you could have this just in the background, just like as in like a radio, where you could work on something, like you work on a program. I remember like surgeons, what they will do is they'll have music playing in the background while they're performing surgery. So that's what you could do. Just, it's kind of like talk radio, where you're just not sitting there listening, but you're also doing some other busy work that doesn't really require a lot of mental attention. Pico is reiterating what he says. No number, evidence of providing food for poor girls is not a crime. He is more like Mother Teresa, actually. Anthony says, he says, I found somebody that has no kids and has an attitude you could grow old and senile with. There you go. Congratulations. Have you? Anthony says, yeah, Bebots is just a hobby, wasn't it? I mean, even a hobby, it's just something fun to do. It's just something to do. And like I said, how it is before is we have to move ourselves to action. And if I don't move myself to action, then what is going to happen? The answer is nothing. And do we just kind of maintain the status quo? And then we are just as guilty as the people that put these girls in these extreme situations where they're hungry or where they're poor and they're going to become single moms. And as single moms, they have to turn into something extreme, maybe like prostitution, when they could have done something with their lives. Like I said, we're not trying to change the world, but we can change the world around us, especially when it comes to our friends, not only for the girls over here, but also for the the successful men? Why can't the successful men have a successful why can't the successful men with their professional life have a successful personal life also? Why can't the beautiful girls over here, and like I said over here, the double-edged sword over here is, remember, we don't want anyone to have everything, because especially for people that don't have anything, you can't have everything. So if you look at a young girl over here, so if you look at this girl at this doorstep, I mean at this not at the doorstep, but at this steps, she was just sitting there at the steps. I mean, she has her beauty, she has her personality, she has her youth, she almost has everything except hope and opportunity. And that's what everybody wants to make sure she doesn't have, okay? Because if she has hope and opportunity, then she will have everything. And that's going to trigger especially a lot of these SJWs that don't have anything, that are both failures in their professional life. They're failures in their marriage, they're failures at their family, they're failures at their work. A lot of them are unemployed. Like the last person that I talked to on the live stream was unemployed. They have to rely on government assistance, which I will get to in a moment. And nobody wants this girl to have hope and opportunity to have her youth, looks, and then opportunity at an education and at a better life, and to be young and good looking at the same time. Nobody wants her to have it all. And what everybody wants to have her do is to become pregnant by somebody her own age. Even Candace said on the last live stream, we said, was there's nothing we could do about having teenagers having sex with other teenagers. Just like what she did. She made the same mistake that she did. And she wants all the other teenage girls to make not that she wants all the other girls to make the same mistake as she did, but she says there's nothing you can do about it. There's nothing. It's almost to the point that she's saying that we don't want you to do anything about it. Because I have this very simple philosophy that never ever have sex with somebody that doesn't have any money, including other teenagers. Because when you have sex, what are you going to do when you get pregnant? Okay, when you get pregnant, you're going to need to see the doctor. That costs money. They're going to need prenatal medicine. That costs even more money. You're going to need to visit the hospital to have your delivery. Then you're going to have your diapers, and that thing's going to need education, and that thing's going to need clothes, and that's going to require more money. And how is another teenager that you had sex with going to come up with that? The answer is no. Never, ever. For women, the only thing I could say to women, of course, they're not going to follow this as advice, is never, ever have sex with a loser, okay, with no money. Because if you have sex with them, you're most likely going to get pregnant and your cycle of poverty. And that's where she'll lose her beauty. She'll lose her opportunity. She'll lose her youth, because nothing ages a woman faster than it's being a single mom. And now she's part of the party of this misery loves company. They don't want her to have it all. Okay, but guess what? She's my friend, and I want her to have it all, just like me and the rest of our friends. Okay. But even though I don't have a channel anymore, even though I don't have these YouTube videos anymore, as long as a man has good, successful friends like I have over here, like Anthony over here, like Pico over here, like who else is over here? Mining Free. I'll even throw you in there, Kenneth, as a token friend over here. Just as long as I have, I'm always gonna be wealthy. I'm always gonna, and the reason why it's not about the number one reason why my channels got deleted, my video, it's not about taking the girls to Jollibee. It's not about taking hungry girls to eat. It's not about taking a girl who's never been to the dentist before, or someone who doesn't have any shoes, or somebody who doesn't have any education, or somebody that's homeless. It's not about that. It's about watching a person having it all. Okay, imagine how that will trigger somebody who doesn't have it all. Imagine a person who is poor. Imagine a person who doesn't have a job. Imagine a person who's on unemployment. Imagine a person who's on welfare. Imagine a person who is not in a relationship. Imagine a person who's in a relationship with somebody not successful. Imagine somebody who's not in a relationship at all. And if they were in a relationship, it's somebody with old and ugly. Imagine all those things. Imagine a person who's not a good father. Imagine a person who's not a good husband. Imagine a person who's not a good provider. Imagine all those things. And there are so many, I have to say, most of the people out there, especially they're lurking or hating, are actually like that. But in your defense, that's probably the only thing you can do. But the only thing I could probably say is probably you only have one life to live. Okay, there's no reason why you should spend any more of your valuable time anymore, because you don't have because you can't make any more time, and your valuable life, because you only have one life to live, to be spending your energy on attacking people that have a better life than you, when you should be spending your energy in your life improving yourself, having a better life. So it's us or it's the other people that are jealous of you because you have everything now. And then you don't have to get all of it right away. You could just start by having a successful job. Just have a job first. Let's take baby steps. Okay, first step is get a job first. Okay, and then work your way into getting a successful job or successful business. But the first thing you got to do is you got to learn a trade. You got to learn a skill. You got to get experience, like I did when I was in my earning years, especially when I was in America. I don't do that anymore because I'm retired. I retired at an early age. Hey, that's another reason why people hate me, because I was able to work and retire early enough where I could really enjoy it. Isn't the point of working is to be able to enjoy yourself, enjoy your family, and be able to enjoy it young enough while your thing still works? Because when your thing doesn't work anymore, there's really no point to it. Once your health, I always say, once a person doesn't have his health, he has nothing. And a lot of problems with a lot of these guys, well, a lot of these people that are lurking or that are hating, that have nothing, is some of them probably have physical health problems, but or they could not have any physical health problems, but a lot of them, as you could see, have mental health problems. And I would say, like, for example, Australia, I think from the last statistics, maybe like 50% of the people in Australia are on some kind of medication. That's and what about the other half? But I'm just saying that's a lot of unhappy people, and for them, the only way for them to be balanced is to use some kind of drugs, right? And what the point that I'm saying over here is that people are miserable, people aren't happy, and why is it? Is it because they have so many failures that instead of improving or becoming successful, they'd rather turn to drugs and accept their failure, and it's easier for them to accept their failures and their faults in life by turning to drugs instead, because they're in a system. I mean, I'll give you a perfect example. When I was talking to Candace Candace in the last live stream, Candace is her name. She was telling me about how she's poor and how she doesn't have any money, and how she lives. She doesn't even live from paycheck to paycheck. She's under a lot of debt. And her husband, who is also fat, she said, and she said that she claims that she's a healthy fat, but usually fat is unhealthy no matter how healthy you say it. The only people I could probably say are healthy fat are maybe sumo wrestlers, but he's not a sumo wrestler. So let's just kind of put him in the category of just fat, whether he's healthy or not. That's really not the point. What makes him being fat is he's unemployed, and he seems to be unemployed for a long time because she didn't want to disclose or answer how long he's been unemployed. It's okay to be fat and be fully employed and be rich, but you can't really forgive somebody to be fat and lazy and unemployed and all you're doing is eating. So your job is all you do is that you eat. And she goes about and making excuses about the reason why he doesn't have a job. Well, because he didn't go to school. Oh, why didn't he go to school? Well, he didn't have any money. And I go, well, why doesn't he have any money? Well, he doesn't have any rich parents. The point she was making, and it was the same thing she was saying about herself, is that she said she went to medical school, but she didn't finish because she said she didn't have the money to finish. And she's coming from this thought, or from the situation, that if you're poor, you're not going to have the opportunity to go to school. Or if you're poor, you're not going to be able to learn any skills, or you're not going to be able to have a job. But at the same time, she's saying all these Mexicans with no skills can go out and find jobs, no problem. But her husband is not able to have to get a job, but there's plenty of Mexicans around there that can get a job. Instead of course, could he lower his standards to be able to take the jobs that those Mexicans are taking instead? Probably not. I mean, you could probably say that he makes more money collecting. The argument for welfare has always been that people can make more money on welfare than flipping burgers. Imagine if you're flipping burgers, there's also the cost of going to work, versus if you're just collecting welfare, all you're doing is just doing nothing, and the cost of doing nothing is very minimal versus going to work flipping burgers. So you can always make that argument, but then you kind of run into this moral dilemma of where you're living and you're living this gluttonous lifestyle over and somebody else is paying for it. I mean, it's one thing to become fat with your own money, but to be fat with somebody else's money, with somebody else's taxpayer money, is the moral dilemma in itself. And then, of course, these people with their situations, of course, where their failures in life, especially in their professional life, they're going to attack people that are successful in whatever it is that we do, okay? And they will attack whatever it is that we're successful at. In this situation, we're successful at having a YouTube channel. We're successful in our videos. We're successful in making our content. And it wasn't easy finding success in those things. It took a lot of hard work. It took a lot of time. It took a lot of passion. But it doesn't really matter because the videos were already seen. You can't unsee something that you've already seen. I mean, it's already out there. The Pandora's box is already open. Just because you deleted videos or deleted channels, it doesn't mean that it wasn't done or the experience didn't happen. It still happened. And our community, as you could see, is still going. It's still ongoing. And what we have now is this, with these people that are not working, this people of what we have over here this is where the system, I don't know whether we could say this, if this is an accurate statement, is where the system failed them, since the system is designed for you to fail. So if they're failures, they're failures in their professional life, then that means the system is working properly. The system is designed to just keep you alive. It's not designed to make you successful. The only thing that's going to make you successful is yourself, okay? And I learned that at a very early age, and that's why it's easy success for me. I wouldn't say that I'm very successful, but I'm very successful in whatever it is, project or endeavor or whatever I set my mind to it. It might not be perfect, or I didn't really set out to the point where like somebody made the comment that you're my idol, because who can convince like a whole group of people to pay for your dates? So you're going to be dating this young, beautiful girl and somebody else to pay for it. Well, it was more of a function of necessity. It wasn't something that I set out to do. It was more of a, like, if people can't do it themselves, then somebody else that I know that I can trust will have to do it for them. It's more of a function of, it's like you can't repair your own car because you don't know anything about repairing cars, but you'll give somebody money to do it who knows what they're doing. And that's what we have here. That's what people are watching. Is what we have over here is we have a group of people that will never have access to beautiful girls here in the Philippines, but they will give money to somebody who will have access, who has access to beautiful girls in the Philippines, and in return for this help, give them the same access also. So there is what you see here is where there's like a mutual benefit, where everybody's getting something, where everybody's benefiting from whatever it is that was whatever it is from the situation. The girls get fed, the guys get evidence that a relationship is created, friendships are created, and from those friendships, hope, a better life, a better future is possible. Versus before, without the work, without me getting up in the morning and starting BebotsOnly, Like Candace, her only option was sex with other teenagers. And good thing that she didn't get pregnant from that guy, because she'd probably be in a worse situation than she is now. But the point is, right now, the girls over here and the teenage girls over here in the third world country, their only choice over here is teenage boys that will get them pregnant. And once they get pregnant, they're the only thing they can give them is gonorrhea or syphilis. They cannot support them. They don't have a job. They don't have opportunities. They don't have any skills. They can't support themselves. All they can do is make babies. And I have this one girl that I was supposed to meet. And she's and I said, okay, your pictures are pretty. You have some bad pictures, but you have some good pictures also. But you have enough good pictures to warrant a meeting, a personal meeting. So I asked her some basic information. I said, what grade are you in? Right? She said she's in 8th grade. I go, 8th grade? You're in 8th grade? Okay. And I said, all right. So you're in 8th grade. So tell me more about yourself. Okay. Yes, I'm in 8th grade, but I also want to tell you that I have a 4-month-old baby. And I said, okay, you're in 8th grade, but you have a 4-month-old baby. I go, what happened? And I said, once the dad found out that I was pregnant, or once the baby came out, the me and the father are no longer together. And I asked how old the father was normally, and I mean, I already knew the answer. I wanted it to come from the horse's mouth. And she said that he was another teenager. Okay, and that they're broken up. And she says she really needs help. And I'm sitting there scratching my head that there is no longer any help for this girl. Maybe when she was in 7th grade, maybe I could have helped her before she went into 8th grade and had a baby. And I told her, what a waste, is my response. And I actually have the messenger discussion that we were having. And I was going to do it for Azar Mario, since he actually enjoys these exchanges that I have with the girls when it comes to the behind the scenes. And she's a single mom now, and she's desperate. And her response when I told her, what a waste, she wasted her good looks and she wasted her beauty only to become pregnant by another teenager. And at least she has a lifetime souvenir from their experience. And she says, she of course, her last response to me, I didn't reply back, was, of course, she's full of regret. Well, yeah, you're full of regret, but what about this baby now? You got this 4-month-old baby who's innocent, that you brought into this world, into this suffering, into a teenage single mom without a father, and who's going to be taking care of her, right? You're not old enough to work. I don't even know if you can, you're not even going to finish school. What's going to happen to you? And like I said, there's nothing I can do for her anymore, because this is BebotsOnly. And the sign at the door says BebotsOnly. And she's no longer a Bebot. She's a mom now. Okay. She's not Dalaga anymore. She's Dalana. I repeat, Dalaga is someone, a single that doesn't have any kids. Dalana is a single mom that was betrayed. The ultimate betrayal. She opened up her legs for love, and the love bit her in the ass. And then she's coming to me asking for help. And I said, I have no help for you. And maybe in the future, if I'm still around, maybe I can help your daughter, if it's your daughter. But there's no more help for you. You made your decision. You opened your legs up for some teenage boy that probably gave you gonorrhea at the same time, and you probably need medicine for that. But the point is that this is the decision that you made. This is the bed that you made, and that you're going to have to live with it, regardless if you finish 8th grade or not, is the reality. The reality that we have to live with, okay? It's not other people's reality. This is our reality that we live with every day here in the Philippines. Let's go to the comments. Like I said, I'm going to check my mail to see if we got any contributions. But for anyone who believes that this is wrong and that we should do something about it, getting pregnant by for young pretty girls getting pregnant by other teenage boys to just make single moms out of them and just to destroy their life and the life of their children. If you're against that and you believe that there should be something done about it, or if you want to make a contribution, then please make it to PayPal with the email address at BebotsOnly@yahoo.com. I repeat, BebotsOnly@yahoo.com. Let's go to, let me check my email. I probably got some spam. And wow, thank you very much. Anthony S. just got a very just every time I do these live streams, Anthony S. always makes a generous contribution. Even not during the live streams, he'll make a generous contribution. So thank you very much, Anthony S. This is very much more generous than the previous contribution, but all contributions are appreciated. Of course, the larger, more generous contributions are more appreciated than the lesser ones, but they're all appreciated one way or another. So thank you very much, Anthony. Yes, we don't have any videos, we don't have any channels, but we have very kind, generous, understanding, patient friends that are not going to stand around like all these SJWs and do nothing about it. Because if we don't, this kind of story where we got this 8th grader with a 4-month-old is going to continue every day unless we put a stop, unless we do something about it. We're not going to change the world, but we can change the world around us. And I've always said, if you could save one life, you can save the world. I didn't make that up. It's actually from Schindler's List. So I could not have saved this girl's life by giving her hope and opportunity, giving her a reason not to get pregnant. Somebody just needed to tell her, look, if you get pregnant, I'm not going to feed you any French fries. Which is more important, your boyfriend or French fries? And she's going to say French fries. She wouldn't be pregnant by now. Okay, I'm sorry, I can't be everywhere. I can't be everywhere at the same time. There's only one me, but it's just tragic stories like that where you got this young pretty girl and she could have had a chance at a better life. We could have given her a reason not to get pregnant. And because she got pregnant before we gave her the reason, her life, like before, is going to be filled with misery and suffering. And also her child, who is innocent, that didn't ask to be born as a bastard into a third world country. I mean, life is hard enough. Being born a little bastard into a poor country is going to even increase your misery and suffering. You think you didn't have any chances or hope or opportunity before. Imagine growing up in a third world country, poor, with a single mom. So let's go to the comments. So thank you very much, Anthony S., for your very generous contribution. Always appreciate it. Thank you very much. And, sticking it to all these SJWs out there that think they can stop us. You can't stop a movement. You can't stop an idea. You can't stop people from helping each other, from making a difference, from giving a chance to help other people. It is our human nature, once we reach a level of success, to reach out and help other people become successful also. And this is what you're watching. This is me reaching a certain level of success in my professional life, being able to retire early, having the success in my family life. And I want to give this success also to other people that have achieved. I can't help them with their professional life because I don't know what their jobs are, but I can help them achieve this success in their personal life when sharing with somebody special. And what's the point of having all the success if you don't have a soulmate to share somebody with, to share the success with? And it just makes life so much better and so much sweeter, and nothing is going to trigger these SJWs and more. And the only thing I could say for these SJWs first is stop attacking other people. If you would just have it better for you to use your energy to become successful yourself, and through your own success, you can make change, and you can And once you become successful yourself, both in your professional and your personal life, you're gonna care less about other. But as long as you're happy and you're doing your own thing, you can care less about what other people are doing with their own lives. You're too busy being happy with your own life. But when you spend your life, you only have one life to live, and you're spending it in all this misery, and you want other people to join in your misery also, to be unsuccessful both in your person, just like you, in your both professional and personal life. That is just a life wasted, but that is your life to live. But that is not our life to live. We live our life on our own terms. And just because the system is designed for you to fail, and just because the system is designed where you can't have it all, there are going to be a few individuals like us that want to have it all, because we only have one life to live. We want to have a young, beautiful person to share this life with, and in return, give them a better life, instead of this eighth grader who's got a 4-month old who the dad just left them. And what kind of life are they going to have? What kind of life is this child going to have in a third world country? Back to the comments. So thank you very much, Anthony. Yes, and anyone else who wants to follow his example, please make a generous contribution to PayPal at BebotsOnly at yahoo.com. We don't call it charity. We don't call it we call it contributions to, because we are not a charity. Simple as that. Let's go to the comments. Having it all in a system, the man is designed for you to fail. I know I'm kind of far behind. Anthony says same here at this point. I'm mostly here for the Michael B style train wrecks. Yeah, it's not a train wreck. It's like we all have to learn the hard way. It's just part of our nature. It's all part of the wheel. We have to learn the hard way because we have to experience misery and suffering. Why learn through example, or why learn from other people's mistakes when it's better for us to experience the mistakes ourselves? Because we have to experience, it's all part of the wheel, in terms of, because we as humans are designed to experience misery and suffering, and making big huge mistakes is part of our humanity, and we want to experience suffering and misery because that's part of our emotional library. So in by that simple because of that simple fact, we have to learn the hard way. And it's these train wrecks that what Pico is talking about, which is Michael B. And I'm the one, just my job is, after the train wreck, is put the train back into its rail, to where after, and now that we got our train wreck out of the way, now we can get back on the rail. We can get back and get to our destination happily get back to our destination. And the girl's like, who? Mike Mining Free say, I'm just going through the comments over here. Anthony says, hey, Mark. It says, hey, Anthony. I got other things on my mind. Just click through it. Okay. Let me go through the comments. I accidentally. Pico says, I'm very happy. We'll probably marry in 2.5 years, which I'm against. Like I said, I'm against marriage. If you're going to be coming here to the Philippines, you can have, my argument is always, you're going to have the commitment that you want out of the relationship without getting married. If she doesn't like it, she can easily be replaced. And she doesn't have a better option, so she's going to like it. It's just a risk versus reward. There are risks the cost of getting married is just too high when when you can just have a relationship because you're successful enough and you don't need to get married. You don't need the complications or baggage that comes with marriage. And don't, Pico, don't believe me. Mining Free will tell you. Mining Free, can you tell Pico that if you're going to be moving here to the Philippines, getting married is the last thing you should do? I mean, I'll even go as far to say if I knew I was coming here to the Philippines, I probably would have never get married. But anyway, that's kind of an afterthought. We need to think about people like Pico who have the choice still of whether they're getting married or not, knowing that he's going to be moving to the Philippines. Then if you know you're going to be moving to the Philippines, then that's the last thing you should be doing is getting married. Maybe right before you die, then you want to say, hey, at least we got married before I died. Then yeah, like a scene out of When Harry Met Sally, at least you could say you were married before you died. The point is that you don't need to get married because, Pico, you're successful enough. You're a very successful person. And because of this success, you can have the commitment and the relationship you want without having to get married. Because there's just too many problems, especially with the kind of money that you have, that can wreck a relationship after marriage. Mining Free, can you tell them how because of his money, it's hard that money or that success he has is going to be detrimental to his marriage, and it's better not to be married since he has the commitment in the relationship already without getting married. So he's talking about Shineman is here. Long time no here. He says, hello, you're not alone. Yes, we have a lot of friends. I'm saying I'm alone when I'm here in the Philippines. Everybody else, all our friends, all our generous, kind friends are in other countries. When I'm saying I'm alone like here, actually have when I'm entertaining and I'm developing relationships with the girls and meeting them and giving them a reason not to be pregnant and throwing their lives away. I'm alone here doing it, but I have a community behind me supporting me. It's just that finding the time to do it, since I can't be everywhere all at once, is what makes it me when I say the statement that I'm alone. And Anthony says, I'm ready to keep worrying. I have to. Besides, I want to stop worrying. I think I don't have anything to do all day. Yeah, you will. The boredom is probably a very. You can, you need to make sure you're doing something productive. Okay, for me, I've got so many things productive between taking the kids to soccer practice and their homework, and taking care of our home, taking care of our community, developing these channels, helping other people with their own personal lives here in the Philippines. I'm doing a lot of productive things. But for other people that don't have things to keep them to be passionate about, for them to be productive, then that's where a lot of people get into boredom, where they'll end up drinking or end up in some kind of destructive behavior. So do something productive. One of the things that Michael B and I were talking about, since he's going to be over here, moving here eventually, is, what does he like to, some of the projects that we'd like to do for fun. And since we're going to be working on the private website on a private server, where we're talking about what kind of content we wanted to put in there. And one of the ideas that I have is, hey, have you ever, I was thinking about forming a girl group, dance group, or a girl band. And that's not like a kind of similar to like a boy band or like a K-pop girl band, but something kind of informal like that, where there was like, just for example, I had a video where I asked the girl, hey, do you like to dance? No, I don't like to dance. I'm not a very good dancer. How about I give you $2? And she goes, do you want me to dance here, right here? And I go, yeah, you could dance right here. And so she started dancing because I offered her $2. She goes, no, I don't. It was funny. You could watch it in the unlisted video where I go, because she was kind of dancing, and I said, hey, you like to dance? No, I don't like to dance. I'm not a very good dancer. And I go, I offer you $2. And she goes, you want me to dance right here? I go, yeah, just do some dance and I'll give you $2 for it. And she goes, okay. So she started dancing. So I wanted to do something like that, something more organized, where I wanted to form this where we could do as the content for our new channel is to try to make it to make it more mainstream, is to have like cover songs or cover dance groups or cover choreographed with a group of girls. So it'll be more about maybe music. It'll be more about music, talent, than just eating Jollibee, and for all these other social justice warriors to get triggered about, since we are not only eating Jollibee, but we're also showcasing talent now, which is doing maybe start with like 4 or 5 usually what makes up a girl group. I mean, I'm just throwing out ideas out there, something to be productive. Start a girl band or a girl dance group of Bebots, and we were going to call it something like well, I don't want to get into names right now, but the point is we were thinking about other productive things that he can do while he's here. I mean, he's going to be in this college setting, so there's going to be so many things, but I'm just saying, for dessert, for fun, I mean, who doesn't want to get involved in some kind of project like that? I mean, it'll cost money for the choreography, we'll probably have costume, we'll need to rent a place to, we don't want to just do it in some dark alley. We want to do it maybe in a function hall or clubhouse or a dance hall or something like that. Make it somehow organized was one of the projects that I was thinking of raising money for, especially now that we're going to be having a house now, that we can have these, we could organize these type of projects at. So the plan is we're gonna have our own house, and then Michael B is gonna have his own house. So then we're gonna have our friends, and then we're gonna have my friends, and then you're gonna have friends, and then we could all be, your friends could be my friends, and we could all be friends, and then we could take on fun projects like this. K-pop girl, or it'll be, in our situation, it'll be P-pop or Filipina pop girl band, was one of the ideas that we had, and part of it was just like that small inspiration where it's like, no, I don't like to dance, here's $2, okay, you want me to dance right here? Was the funny exchange, I thought. And she started dancing, and and what we wanted to do was something productive. So instead of being bored and playing, I mean, you could play video games instead, but then a lot of people, I could probably, my plan was originally was just to live stream video games. I was a very good real-time strategy player when I was younger, back in my college days. I was ranked in the single digits when I used to do it all the time. And that's what I wanted to do, was probably live stream, maybe not at the professional level, but the amateur level, where I could kind of add my own character and my own kind of commentary to. I used to have a lot of followers when I used to do a lot, when I used to play a lot of ladder games. A lot of people would create a channel or a clan around me because they just like the way, they just like playing with me, and they just like, it's not just, and when it comes to playing video games, it's not the game itself, but it's the interaction with other people that make the game so much fun. And it was their interaction with me that people started forming clans or groups around me. And that was my original plan, where I was doing. I would have probably been more successful at it, but then I don't think I would have been, I would just be playing a video game. And I don't think that would be what I was meant for in life. What is your destiny in life? And I think someone with my skills and talent and my passion for people would be wasted on just playing video games. Yeah, granted, there is like other people playing video games, but I think, or for me, making a difference in other people's lives, not, like I said, not everybody, but for our friends, is a higher calling than just playing video games. Back to our comments. I'm sorry for the people who I ignored here. And Shineman says, haters hate because they hate themselves. Absolutely true. If these people are on welfare and they don't have jobs, then they have every reason to hate themselves. So this is our community and our channel and our videos, and this BebotsOnly house is for people that don't hate themselves. This is for people that love themselves and want to love others and have so much love to give. and want to give other people a better life. They can give you a better life by giving you someone to share this professional success with, and you want to give them a better life. And everybody benefits because everybody's happy and everybody has it all. They have their youth, their beauty, and they have a rich husband or provider that will help them keep this youth and beauty so they don't look like Lindsay Lohan after drugs, after that single mom hard living. This girl, I don't even know what she looks like now that she's a single mom after 4 months. She probably has aged a lot because of it. I mean, nobody is helping her with a baby now, especially the dad, and she's on her own. So she's going to age a lot. She might have looked really young and innocent before she had a baby, but now there is no more hope for her. I have nothing to offer her anymore. She made her life. She made her bed. Now she has to sleep in it. That was her decision. That's what I tell people. That was the choice that she made. And the sad part is she made the choice at an early age, and she said she trusted that person because this is the same story in my last video. This girl was saying she broke up with her boyfriend because she told her boyfriend that her period was late. And she said she trusted this person. She said she gave her virginity. I said, you were a virgin when you were dating this guy? And like, yeah. And I just had my period like yesterday. So you gave this guy your virginity. And she said the reason why she gave her virginity to this guy was because she believed that she was going to, she says, okay, if I give you my virginity, you're going to love me forever. And even if I get pregnant, you're going to be with me and we're going to be a family and we're going to be husband and wife and we're going to be together. And she believed that. It was what she told me. That's why she gave up her virginity. That's what the guy was saying. And then after she said, oh, I'm a week late, I'm 2 weeks late, I'm 3 weeks late, I'm 4 weeks late, the guy disappeared. And she said that yesterday I just got my period, so thank goodness I'm not pregnant. But for a while there, for the longest time, she thought she was going to be a single mom. The problem with that story was that it's a great story. It's just a story because, number one, you're not a virgin, is what I mean, I didn't tell her that. I was saying that on the inside, but that's what the story that she was telling was the funny exchange. And it was actually in the unlisted video. For the people who got actually in the unlisted video, I did my best to translate it, but it was just too funny for me because this whole time she was saying that I believed in this guy. That's why I gave him a, I thought he loved me. And once I was pregnant, he took off. And now I don't have my virginity anymore. And I'm like saying, you never had your virginity in the first place. That was gone a long time ago already. But of course, over here in the Philippines, they can be as a virgin as many times as they want. Hell, they can have 50 boyfriends and they'll still be a virgin. Each boyfriend they have, they're a virgin each time they're with that boyfriend, no matter how many kids they have or how many times their period has been late. So let's go to the comments. Pico says to Shineman, he says, I agree. Shineman says, of course, Bebots will never be forgotten. Shineman says, but I hate you for what you did to Joy. What did I do to Joy? I mean, I love Joy. I mean, if I'm guilty of love, then let me do my time. But why is love? Everyone needs love, and baby, so do I. So if you want to hate me for loving Joy, then hate me. Or then if it's wrong to love somebody, then I don't want to be right. I think Shinyman is saying he hated me for using her as our to prove my point, and because of that, she became victimized of a she where it's not ideal for her to be with a guy with the age gap and have no money or have very little success in his professional life because of all his alimony. Pico says, in all likelihood, the first guy she had sex with actually has a job. I don't know about that. So Pico says, only her husband doesn't have a job in this boom economy. Anthony says, who's Candice? the social the AA lady invited on the last live stream. Cal Winston says, found a girl on FB that looks similar to Joy. Why do you need to find a girl that looks similar to Joy when you can just go to Joy's channel and you could see a girl that actually looks like Joy versus someone that looks like Joy? Cal Winston is here. Hold up, Cal Winston. Welcome to the live stream. And let's have you added as one of our moderators. We want to make sure that we have a healthy number of moderators over here. Shine him in. Welcome also. You too. You are going to get hit with the add to the moderator. So if there's anything you don't like at all, you have the power now. If you don't like this live stream, if you don't like what people are saying, it'll be your responsibility. It'll be your fault because you are a moderator also. So sorry about that. So part of the strategy over here is to clean up these social justice warriors. And we'll call them social justice warriors for what they really are, even though they probably don't think. Part of being a social justice warrior is you have no idea you're a social justice warrior yourself. That's the definition of social justice warriors, because there's such a negative stigma about being a social justice warriors is people who like rabble rouse and like really amount to nothing in life is what they really are. So they want everybody else to be the same thing also. They hate themselves, so they want to hate other people also. Versus me, I love myself, and all I want to do is love other people. I've got so much love to give. If I'm guilty of love, let me do my time. Perhaps I haven't watched her videos. Chinaman says, actually, you only live twice. Once the life for yourself and one for your dreams. Okay, I see your point. Well, my life is, I enjoy living for others. I enjoy living for the kids. I enjoy living for our community over here. You really enjoy life once you stop living just for yourself and stop living a life for others also, and helping them become more than they can be. And that's what we're doing here in this community. Not for everybody, because like I said, if everybody was successful, then we wouldn't have any failures. Then our success really means nothing if we're surrounded by other successful people. Our success becomes more meaningful once you become more surrounded with more failures. I guess you appreciate how thin you are when you're surrounded by a bunch of fat people, I guess. What is it? Actually, just like in the James Bond movie, I forgot the name of the singer. Nancy Sinatra? Is that it? I don't know. The only James Bond movie I really remember is the James Bond song that I really like is Nobody Does It Better. Nobody does it better. Makes me feel sad for the rest. No one does it half as good as you. Baby, you're the best. I wasn't looking. I like to think that person who was singing that song was singing about me, but then that's the narcissistic side of me. Yes, I know, no more singing, but I couldn't help myself. I just had to sing because Chinaman suggested a James Bond movie song, You Only Live Twice, and it reminded me of my favorite James Bond movie song, and I like my James Bond movies, so I had to sing. So Anthony is laughing. What is he laughing at? Cal Winston says like Art Breezy or Mocha. Yeah, exactly. We'll just copy those and it will go viral. That's what we're going to do. That's the plan anyway. And we're going to raise money for choreography. We're going to raise money for costume, and we're going to raise money for dance studio. And we're going to raise money for the website, so it could be uploaded. I mean, that doesn't really cost a lot of money hosting anyway, but that's what that's one of the things that we're going to be doing now that we're going to have a house to be organizing it in. So we're going into a lot of different directions now that I don't have to worry about growing a channel anymore, because 5 channels uploading every day and trying to make everybody happy and getting all this AdSense going was I was committing a lot of time to it. I mean, for the last 5 years, now that I have to worry about it anymore, I can concentrate on the house. I can concentrate on the Mocha Girls. We won't do any of those Mocha Girls where they're doing maybe where they're doing demonstrations on the at the Love Hotel or the Short Time Hotel. But since we have a house, we can do like challenges and cooking demonstrations. We'll stay away from those demonstrations that got my April Fool's joke strike. It wasn't my demonstration, but the Mocha Girls, that's who they were. They were doing that demonstration of like how to perform oral sex on each other, which I mean, I got a strike, but the video itself of two girls performing oral sex on each other didn't get a strike. But but the funny part or the ironic part was I got a strike, even though and in my defense, I have Michael B to blame for it because he said he saw nothing wrong with it, and I told him if this video gets a strike, I'm gonna blame him for it, even though in reality it was my decision, and I just needed somebody to blame in case something did go wrong. So yes, exactly, Cal Winston, the dance groups. Shineman says, I remember one of your videos about the life of some of the expats in the Philippines. Not all of they have access. They have the success they've been dreaming of. You made some more enemies that time. Ha ha ha. Yeah, because they're what are they really doing that's successful? You can't tell me just because they're living in slums like a bunch of squatters that they're successful. All of them are living in slums like a bunch of squatters. So they don't have any success at all living here in the Philippines. They definitely don't have any success in their personal life, since you're gonna come all the way over here for some bar girl or some prostitute or some donkey face or some average plain person who's got messed up teeth. Then there's no success in that. But you're gonna get admiration from other failures for their failures. You're gonna get people saying that are happy that you're a failure also, just like their failures themselves. So yeah, so I was just talking about no name is talking about Rampa Republic. You can't even say it right. It's Rampa Republic. That's very funny. Yes, that was a beauty pageant. The history behind that was the director of that that modeling group and I were just what was happening was I was becoming more popular than the director of the modeling agency, which was causing a rift because I was the one providing the food, I was providing the clothes, I was providing the shoes, I was providing actually the money for this person, and it was stealing a lot of his thunder. He was stealing a lot of his glory. And I told myself, okay, well, this is one of these things that I'm going to just do this one group and I'm going to be done. And I have my own group. He has his own group. And so that way there's no conflict of interest, because he was losing a lot of the attention, the attention that he was normally getting before to us because he was collecting money from them, and us, we were helping them pay for it. And of course that was making us, or me, more popular than him. He was becoming more and more the bad guy every day, and I was becoming more and more the good guy, which is not what he wanted to turn his. So there was of course a lot of jealousy over there because of that. And what do we got over here? So people doing more cleaning up. And Paul is here. You show up exactly at the right time. And Paul says, figures I would start. No, this stream was scheduled like yesterday, so I didn't start it. I actually started it on time. They just banned another troll. He says, why did you ban him? I didn't see what he wrote. Yeah, and just like I said, if you don't have any, and a lot of these, you can't make any criminal accusations without any evidence, and videos of girls eating a Jollibee because they're hungry is not proof of any criminal accusations. Is still the point of it all. Let's go back to. Hmm, did I miss a lot of juicy details? I don't know about any juicy details. Well, Pico, all these people are anonymous anyway, so they can make any statements they can make. They can yell fire in a crowded theater, and since they're anonymous, they're gonna get away with it. And Shineman says over here, he's making a point over here. What you did to Joy, of course, everybody loves Joy. Your answer was smart, but you'll never find one person thinking such a beautiful girl wouldn't deserve a better husband. Yes, she deserves a better husband, but the better husband never came. So I needed to prove a point that I can take a guy who's never been to the Philippines and end up with a beautiful girl, and I could take a girl that has never interacted with this. She couldn't even show you where America was on the map, and through our system, get a better life in America right now. And yes, of course, it's really easy to argue that she could have found a better husband, but that better husband never came, and I needed to prove a point, and my point was made. And she has a family now, and she has her channel Joy Bebot as our living testimonial. So if you can go and like her channels, I don't know if she uploads regularly, but she has her own channel, Joy Bebot. And the irony is she uses a lot of the Bebots Only name and Bebots Only reference, even in her own title. If you if you if you type up Bebots Only, she still has a connection to it, and she gladly displays it in some of her titles and descriptions. Okay, so I think we're all caught up in the comments. Let's see what time it is. She did. See, I didn't even know about this, like I said, but it doesn't really change. It doesn't change anything. A rose by any other name would still smell like a rose, just like love. It's just a word. It's the meaning behind it. It's what's important. Joy will live in infamy as our first success story. We have a second success story. It's with Katrina, I remember. And it was a very so she has a better life in America now. Whether it's kind of like the argument is whether they're happier or not. I mean, there's a better life, there's a better standard living. Does it equate to happiness? And that's really, happiness is kind of subjective. I mean, which one would you rather be, right? Would you rather be unhappy in America, or would you rather be happy living like squatters, miserable, hungry here in the Philippines? And I guess that's really not up to me to decide. It's up to people. They have free will, and that's the life they chose. That's the life they chose. I just gave them the option. What I do is I give people options, and it's up to them whether they want to exercise those options or not. I gave So in this situation with Joy, Katrina, they had the option whether they could get pregnant and become single mom with local boys, or take their chances at a better life with an American in America, and they took their choice and they exercised that option. If I didn't come along, then their only option would have been getting pregnant by a local person here in the Philippines, and their struggle and their suffering would have continued like they did now. And maybe they don't want to keep struggling about always worrying about being hungry or having no electricity and no clean water. But I don't know. Joy is here a lot. Is here in the Philippines a lot, and she still. I and You could probably, because she is here a lot, she finds that she's a lot happier here in the Philippines than she is in America. But that was the life that she chose, and at least her children will have better opportunities. And yes, they might not have a good life because their father has no money because of alimony, and alimony is another evil system in itself. I mean, he should be able to keep his money for his own family right now, for Joy and her kids, because she's the one taking care of his family right now. But the system they have set up over there in America is, even though you're not getting any benefits from a marriage, you're still going to have the detriment of paying for it through alimony. And that's what Shineman is upset at me about, is that Joy is suffering because of that alimony. And I can understand why I am at fault for that. Why couldn't I have found a better person? Because better person never came. No matter how many times people have seen her videos, they never came. And I can't control other people's actions. I can only control my own. Let's go to the comments. When you see you scheduled this yesterday, I didn't see it. So how do I make sure that I don't miss that? Don't you see it in the subscribe notifications? There were plenty of people here waiting when I turned on the live stream. But you have to look at the channel. Beauty frightens guys at times. Well, it frightens me because I don't like rejection. Okay, so we have been going on for how many hours now? Okay, 2 hours. That's not that bad. So I can't really go that long because I have to get ready for Michael B's arrival, but I really wanted to give everybody a heads up and give everybody a live stream and give everybody an update on what's going to be happening. So like I said, we're going to be busy. What our schedule is, I don't know. We're just going to play it by ear. I did my best to try to get to prime a lot of the friends over here to get them ready for when he arrives. So he'll be very efficient when it comes to spending time with them. And also not only quantity of time, but quality of time, because the last trip he made over here, that quality he was looking for was not there as much as he wanted. So I wanted to focus on when he does spend time with the girls, that it's going to be a lot of quality time also. So that's what we're going to try to do. And this time we're more prepared. I'm more prepared for it now than before in Christmas, because during Christmas I was also split between Tom's trip also. So after I wasn't even finished with Tom yet, and Michael B was already here up to his own shenanigans that I couldn't monitor or watch. And that's where a lot of things were not going as well. And like I said, the biggest problem with Michael B and a lot of Americans is he's nice. And there's nothing wrong with nice unless you're just here, you're on vacation, and you don't really have your own agenda. So nothing's really going to happen because you're on vacation. But Michael B is over here. He has his agenda where he wants to develop relationships that can grow into long-lasting relationships. And instead, he wasn't getting that done because he was being nice. And everybody knows if you're just being nice over here, people are just going to take advantage of it. What is it Mining Free said in the last live stream? Most people, you give them an inch, they'll take a mile. But over here, Filipinos takes hundreds and thousands of miles over here. And he was faced in situations where the people were taking advantage of him. And he was saying the same thing when it comes to the swimsuits. He would just bring out the swimsuit, and the swimsuit was supposed to be for them to use for his benefit, for them to swim. And what they would do is they would just take it and they wouldn't even wear it. And if they did wear it, it would be covered up with a bunch of other things, and he couldn't see it. And on top of that, there were other people that were saying, me too, when he just intended it just for that, for only a few individuals instead of like everybody else that was brought into it, and they were just kind of all just getting while the getting's good. They had no they could care less about his agenda when they were all in it just to get theirs with nothing for it in return. And that's kind of the biggest problem when when you're just being here and you're doing charity and you're just doing something nice and you're not expecting anything in return, then don't worry, you're not getting anything in return. But that's not a situation that's not sustainable. It's short term. It's very short term, and there's nothing long term about it. There's no there's no permanent. That's not a permanent solution. It's just like giving somebody's clothes for one day or just as one time, and once they get worn out, what about the next time? Okay, you need something sustainable. A perfect example is Princess's mom. Okay, if you look at her Facebook, she has her own store, she has her own apartment, and she never has to worry uh, about food or ever again. Before they were living under a bridge, and it was very sad. And Princess was sick all the time. So what I did was I got them introduced to Andrew, and because of Andrew's similar situation, he's married also, but he's married. They're both married into bad situations. She's married to a guy that took off, so she can't get remarried again. He married somebody in his 30s that was 10 years older, and now fast forward, now that he's in his 50s, she's in his 60s. So he wasn't getting he was lacking a lot of things out of that marriage, especially physical nurturing. So in this situation, they were both faced in marriages that weren't, in her marriage, she wasn't getting the support that her husband is supposed to give her. And in his marriage, he was married to an old senior citizen. So there's no way he was going to be having sex with some senior citizen lady while he's still young. He's still, what is it, the word we're looking for, virulent. So they're able to sustain where she doesn't have to worry about food or shelter or clothing or education for her kids. And in return, so that's something in a situation that's where we have specifically in their situation where it's sustainable, where they never have to worry about each other's needs in their situation, food or education, forever. So it's all about making a difference, not just for today, but we're all talking about permanent solutions for long-term permanent solutions for long-term permanent problems, not just hunger for today. So in this situation is these girls are going to need a relationship eventually once they're ready, uh, and for them to have that option, for even them to be considered that option, takes a long time to develop. And fortunately, over here in the Philippines, friendships last a lifetime, and we just need to make sure that we make friends with them before they get pregnant. And like I said, it's usually the pretty ones at a very young age, like this eighth grader with a 4 month old, that is usually the victims first. And that's because people don't want her to have it all. You can't have good looks. You can't have youth, you can't have looks, and you can't have a successful father of your children at the same time. It's better for you to be a single mom so you won't have your youth and good looks anymore. And you could join the rest of us who were never born with youth and good looks in the first place. That's what we're looking at. Mm, Shineman says, any news from this one particular girl? I don't know. Kind of. I met her this one time, but I think the problem with her is the last picture I saw was she had braces. And braces cost a lot of money. Okay, so she stopped school. She's not living with her parents anymore. She's living with a bunch of friends, and she's got braces. And braces over here, you're talking about at least $100 to get installed. And where did she get? So the problem with her is that for somehow, somewhere, she knows somebody that's capable of spending $100 so she could have braces. I don't know if they're real braces or not, but the same reason why I haven't talked to her again is probably the same reason. If those braces are real, is probably coming from the same person that got her those braces in the first place, because that girl is very stunning. So she could easily attract guys and boys that have a lot of money. There are boys over here with money also, not just men. There are boys over here without money, and there's also boys over here with money that have rich parents. And she might have easily attracted maybe boys or men that have money. So if that's the case, and she has people providing her French fries as well as money, then she's not going to be interested in the French fries that we provide, is the answer. The long answer to that story, Shineman, or to that question. So I'm going to be taking what are we going to be taking? A lunch break pretty soon. So it's 12:36 over here. So let's take a bathroom break and let's take a working lunch break. And I think I wanted to end this live stream at 1 o'clock because I wanted to register the car this month. We have 2 cars. I registered 1 car last month, and I wanted to register another car this month, because if I don't register it this month, I'm going to pay like another $60 or $80 in penalties. So I wanted to register a bit before Michael B gets here, instead of trying to register it, because it takes about 2 or 3 hours to register. If I finish at 1 o'clock today, if I stop the live stream today at 1 o'clock, then I can go get that done. So I don't have to try doing it while he's here. But if somebody makes a generous contribution, I'll keep going, right? But duty calls, and I have to manage my time. This morning, I'm sorry, something had to give, but the kids had football practice this morning, so I had to cut the live stream 1 hour short. Now I got to register the car this month before Michael B arrives, or else that means something's got to give, and which means this live stream is the one that's going to have to be sacrificed. So we got another half hour. But let me talk about some notes I made over here. So just a few more things about the channels getting deleted. So yes, the channels got deleted, but like I said, it's a blessing in disguise. Now it's going to concentrate on me. I can concentrate more on our house, and from our house we can concentrate on forming our own BebotsOnly girl band, and let this death of our channels. It's kind of like similar to, if anybody has ever read the story or the Dark Knight Returns back in I forgot what it was, 1987 or 88. Who was it that wrote I forgot his name. Frank Miller? Yeah, Frank Miller, who also wrote Sin City. Frank Miller, great author, great, very dark person, very dark personality. I can relate to his darkness. He wrote this story called Dark Knight Returns about Batman. And the end of Batman stages his death against Superman, where he stages it where Superman ends up killing him. But in actual reality, he kind of faked his own death, and it made it look like at the hands of Superman after he kicked his ass. But anyway, for Batman to take his revolution to the next level, he needed to die first and go underground for what he needed to do. So I have to say it's parallel with the same thing, because if I didn't, then I probably would have been lazy about forming our girl group band, or a girl band, or actually pursuing this house, because I would still be saying, the channels are doing well. Why do I need to go into actually pursuing this additional headache? Now I don't have to. So the channels needed to die for a new project to be born. And I almost have to say that if it wasn't for the channels dying, I don't think the rest of our friends would have been motivated enough. It's almost sticking it to the SJWs. It's like, yeah, you took the channel, but because of you took away the channel, we are now more motivated. Now we are more organized now we are going to buy a house, and not just a house, a good house in a university community once this university gets finished being built this year. So thank you to the people, because like I said, these kind of tragic events is similar to like the Dark Knight dying. And also, for example, Jesus had to die. Jesus had to be killed. So we needed a special group of Jews, even though Jesus is a Jew himself. We needed a special group of Jews to initiate his death so he can go on, so Jesus can go on to bigger and better things. So we needed to resurrect, and we needed to die. The channels needed to die. Now that we don't have the videos anymore to worry about all that, even some people couldn't say that they're baggage also, and we needed to let go of the last generation, so we can go into any direction that we want anymore. It's no longer a dating site because there's no video saying it's a dating site. There's no website saying it's a dating site. It's anymore. Bebots Only is anything that we want now. You know what it is? It's about the people now. It's about the community now. It's not about the girls anymore. It's about what we're going to do, what we can do as a community, or we can do anything now. We can have relationships, friendships, girl bands, a a a house in a community now. Can you imagine that? Because of Bebots Only, we are going to do something that nobody has ever done before, and that's put together enough resources to buy a house for our community. Can you believe that? A house for our community and our friends, thanks to the channel dying. Because if the channel didn't die, I must have been talking about the Bebots Only house we're talking about for years, ever probably since 2013, probably, Paul. And it took the death of the channels for it to finally happen. So thanks to finally motivate me that this is the sign that says the house needs to be done right now. Everything else is pointing to that direction. The girls are asking me, hey, when are we going to go to your place? And I'm like, I don't have a place because I have rules and boundaries, and my personal life is not, which is my place, is not going to be mixed with my Bebots Only life. This whatever this is, this community that we have, because I needed to find a balance. I needed to be able to have one life and be able to transition to the other life. Now we have our house and nobody knows where it is because there's no videos of it. We can safely and private and move about our life the way we want it as our community in terms of having it all. And the best part about it is we will talk about having it all. We now that we have this house, we can create relationships around this because we have a home. A house is not a home if you're not filling it with love from the relationships that we are creating. So we're going to fill this house with the love from our community. And people are going to know about it, but only we are going to see it, thanks to the channel dying. Now that we can move this underground, or just for us, not underground. I mean, people are going to have access to it if they want to join it. But it's not just going to, the SJWs are going to know about it, but they're not going to be able to have access to it like the YouTube channels did, because there was a time the YouTube channels was necessary because I couldn't form a community without reaching out to it, especially through these live streams. And through these live streams, just in the last year and a half, the community was because of this communication, this relationships was based through this live stream communication, as if I'm talking to people directly and interacting with them directly. There was a time where the success of the channel was needed so we could form this community. Now that this community is formed and it's solid and it's so strong that we can even build a house around it so we can have a house is not a home unless it's filled with love and relationships with the people that we like and that we love. And thanks to, like I said, just like Jesus needed the Jews to die, to be crucified, we needed our SJWs to crucify the Bebots Only channels. And through this, we will have our resurrection. And because we have our house, the content is going to be better because the girls are going to have safety. They're going to have privacy like nowhere before. And this is going to be a place to call their own. And we're going to have better, more content. And I'm not saying the public can't have access to it, but they're definitely going to be vetted, and they're going to have to go through the live stream. It's not going to be easy or free like it was with YouTube. You're going to have to go through the private server if you want to look at, and there's going to be a cost to it. And if you want to join the party, it's going to cost you. And if you don't want to join it, then you could just hear about it. You could just hear about how we're living our life happily, and we are facing those catches. Like I said, it's like to have it all, there's always a catch, just like in Full Metal Alchemist. And just as long as we face these catches, then we will be able to live the life that we want. And that's having both a successful, happy personal life as well to parlay our successful professional life with it. I mean, what's the point of being rich and having all this money and having all this wealth? Like I said, if you don't have your own joy to share it with. And like I said, all foreigners to all Americans will not have access to beautiful girls. You can come here and think that you have it all with the ugly girls, and you will have the admiration of the other losers that don't have any relationships, that are saying, hey, it's better to be alone than with an ugly girl from a third world country like you. But that's not the case over here at BebotsOnly. If you want to have it all and you want to have access to the pretty girls, you're not going to do it on your own. And of course, it's going to cost, and there's a price to pay. And if you are wealthy and you're successful, then you have no problem. Well, then you could parlay your price so you could have it all. You could have it all. You could have it now, and you could have everything, even though the system is designed for you to fail. You don't want to end up like a Paul McCartney. Paul McCartney is a perfect example where he's successful in his career. I mean, he's a Beatle, for God's sake. He's a living legend. Is he still alive? I think he's still alive. He's still doing concerts. But his professional life got destroyed because of his personal life. And everybody is very happy that it was him instead of them. It's like, I would rather be myself than Paul McCartney because I just didn't lose $50 million on a divorce. I mean, imagine how many songs he had to write and how many records he had to sell to amass $50 million just to give it away to some girl with only one leg. I mean, imagine one leg. I mean, how good is the sex with a girl with only one leg? And it definitely, I don't care how good she was, I don't care what she did with that one leg, it's not worth $50 million. Okay, we're not asking for $50 million, but we are asking enough for a house, and we are going to have this beautiful relationship that could be just like a joy or better, and the best is yet to come. Everybody needs to internalize that. Even all these lurkers, all these SJWs, stew in your own failures, because you're going to be listening to our success. And part of it is we are going to buy a house. We are going to buy a house, even though you people are probably living in projects or an assisted living, program 18 or whatever that is. But we privately can buy a house we can call our own. And you're not going to know where it is, and you're not going to be able to see the content that we're going to be making in that house, because we don't have a channel anymore to be showing it in. But in all honesty, the channels had to die because I had no motivation, and the rest of our friends had I had no motivation to put this house together. It's like, you know what? This is the sign that says I have to put this house together. So I just put the pressure on everybody and says, hey, I need this. We're so close. We're only $5,000 short. I was using it as an excuse. Now I'm using it as a motivation. And now that we're going to have our house, probably in the next 3 to 6 months, imagine what kind of content. You think the content we were making with Jollibee, and imagine what kind of content we're going to be making with, like I said, anything, the challenges, the cooking demonstrations, all those things. Even dance covers we'll start now that we have our own place. And thank you to our friends. Thank you for the, and the people who are, we'll talk about it, and those people can talk about it. And everybody who's part of the community, of course, is welcome, just as long as it's available. And the rule is that the The girls can only use it or stay in it just as long as we're there. Okay, they're not allowed to live in it. They're not allowed to benefit from it if we're not there. I don't want them. You don't want to. You don't want people over here to get any benefits while you're here because, or while you're not here, because then they 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 don't want you. They just want the benefits. But if you keep the benefits and you together, then they'll want you just as much as, because if they, as much as the benefits. And if they want you, then that's when the relationship that you're looking for will eventually become true, the true relationship that you're looking for over time. Because like with all relationships, it doesn't happen overnight. It all requires time, and how we do it and how we go about it, just as long as the results turn into a real true relationship over time, regardless if we had to strong arm them into it, it doesn't matter. It's all we care about is the results, and the results of a true long-term relationship with a beautiful girl here in the Philippines that you would never have access to. So you can have somebody to share this wonderful life with, that all these SJWs, all these jealous trolls will be jealous about, is your purpose in life, because you only have one life to live. You might as well share it with somebody beautiful instead of these ugly, ugly exotics that these Americans come for. Is the update. Bebots only equals members only. Exactly. And you're part of it, Paul. So be excited. What else have we got over here? Kyle Wenson says 25 pesos for the cheapest braces. So yeah, something is going on. So Shineman says you're welcome. I mean, thank you. I said you're welcome. Collins says all the channels were deleted. Like, where have you been? Except this one. He says I've seen many copies of his videos floating around. Shineman says, Jesus, Mark, don't go into the crucifixion, please. Pika says there are many haters who want to torture him. Yeah, just like crucifixion. Yes, I'm sure they all want to crucify me also. Preach it. Exactly. So at that point, I am. So what do we got? So I want to talk about the death and crucifixion of BebotsOnly to have the resurrection in the form of our house. Thanks to our SJWs, we are buying a house. So, I mean, this is what it's all about. Taking a tragic situation like a Jesus crucifixion or Batman from Dark Knight Returns death into something good. So now we're going to have a house now, and it doesn't end with the channels. It's going on. So we're buying a house now, and none of these SJWs can do anything to stop it except listen. And the last live stream, we had enough money for the car repairs. So not only are we buying a house, that we have enough money for a house, we also have enough money for car repairs. So we're going to keep enjoying using the car, so we can have, so the girls will always be going in and trafficking themselves by getting into the car, so we can travel safely without getting mugged or robbed or stabbed while using the public transportation, and be able to eat a Jollibee or go to the mall or go to the dentist safely and peacefully, because we have enough money to repair our car and have reliable, safe transportation. Oh, I wanted to talk about a discussion that Mining Free and I were having about, because he brought up, Mining Free brought up a very important point when it comes to, he was talking about becoming a lawyer, and how he said that it didn't make sense for him to pursue becoming a lawyer and be $500,000 in debt and only make $50,000 a year being a lawyer. So he said the math didn't make sense for him when he could do something else. And I told him I definitely agree. When it comes to his situation, his specific situation, he was able to make more money and become successful doing something else in another field, versus becoming a lawyer, or where he's limited to becoming probably working for the city or the state, or he would be limited to making 50,000. Even though he'd have great job security, he would still be burdened with that $500,000 plus interest, or maybe the interest is already included. But I would also make the argument for people. Now that's his situation. Now, if you're talking to somebody like me, for example, who's very poor, okay, and you told me about, is it, the situation, whether is it worth it to have a law degree and be $500,000 in debt and only make $50,000 a month, I would say the answer is yes, because it's better to be a poor person making $50,000 a month, I mean $50,000 a year as a lawyer, than a poor person who's poor, even though he's not $500,000 in debt, he's still poor, but not a lawyer. Okay. So in my situation, the math makes sense because it's better to be poor and in debt and a lawyer as a public defender, because you have more options and you'll definitely have a better life or a better lifestyle as a lawyer or as a public defender or as a doctor. Okay, because what is it now? It costs like $1 million to be in debt. It's like, why go $1 million in debt and being a doctor? Well, you're just going to be working at some HMO and only making 30,000. But the argument is, if you're poor, like Candace was saying, how she was born poor, and she says her husband is poor, it's better to be a poor doctor that's $1 million in debt than a poor person, even though you're not $1 million in debt. You're still poor. At least you only have one life to live. You might as well be a poor doctor than a non-doctor who is just poor anyway, which is what they were. Candace and both of her husband, they both stated that they didn't have any education and they didn't have any money, so they said they were poor and they didn't have any work. And I said, well, why didn't you go ahead and get in debt? And there's plenty of loan sharks and plenty of banks that will give you the money that you want for your education, because there's something funny in America where if you don't if you don't pay off your student loans, the government will pay it back for you. I repeat, if you don't pay back your student loans, the banks will still guarantee it. I mean, the government will still, the banks will still give you the loans because the government guarantees it, that if you don't pay it back, then the government is going to pay it back. Okay. Obviously, you're going to have to pay it back the government if they pay it back for you, but that's at least better than going through life without a skill or education or a career that they chose. And the weird thing was, they were both in their late 20s. She said she's like 28, and she's been out of high school since 18 for like the last 10 years, and she's still talking about getting it together. I mean, if you don't get your life together now, at 28, it just means that you're going to waste your life another 10 years. When you're 38, you're still going to be sitting there, going to be together, man. When I was 28, I finished graduate school. When I was 28 years old, I already finished graduate school. I was already saving up to buy a house. I was working on a career. I was already working on my networks and contacts in terms of who I was providing my services for. And they needed somebody reliable that they could depend on, that they can count on for the services that they needed, that they could produce results. I was already working on that. So by the time I was 34 years old, I was ready to retire already. By the time I was living here, by the time I was retired at 34 when the kids were born, retired here to the Philippines at 35, finished my home at 36, and started BebotsOnly at 37 years old. Okay, so that's a timeline, give or take a few months or years. But in my early 30s, that's where I was able to retire, because I didn't waste any time, versus her and her husband with no school, with no education. They just wasted the last 10 years of their life, and if they wanted to, they could still waste another 10 years, unless they listen to my words and listen to what I'm saying. 28 is still a very young age. She only has 2 more years before her prime years of having kids is gone. You don't want to have kids when they're in your 30s, and you definitely shouldn't have kids in your 40s. you should have your first kid at least in your 20s. And in her situation, that window of opportunity for having it all, having children, having career, having a being a having a family and having career is gone for her. And what she did with that, she had a lot of excuses, and her and her husband saying they were poor is the reason why they don't have a good job where they can pay their bills and have a and be able to afford a family. But I do respect the fact that she's wise enough, or that she's experienced enough, or she's smart enough that she shouldn't be having a family with her husband, especially since he's not working. And the last thing you want to do, of course, you can always be able, now that you have a family and you have more dependents, you can accept more welfare. But I think she is smart enough to know that raising kids on welfare or on food stamps is not something that she wants to bring children into this world. I mean, I don't want to, if I could choose, I don't want to be, I want to be, I want to be born into a family who's who can sustain or live with one income while one parent, or the mom, stays at home. Versus, I think Joy herself had to depend on government subsidies also to provide for her kids because of the alimony. I think she actually qualified because of the money that he made wasn't enough, because he had to at least half of it or more had to be spent on alimony. I think they qualified for government assistance. But anyway, given a choice, that's not a situation that I was born into. And I admire her and I commend her and I respect her for that, for not bringing a child into that kind of environment that's just like she was born into. But if you can be born into an environment like we have with our successful friends, where they could provide good education, private education, good soccer shoes, expensive $400 shoes, then yeah, hell yeah, I want to be born in that situation. But if you can't afford, or if you can't find a way to give $400 shoes, because kids, you just they're innocent and you just want to spoil them, even if it means French fries or $400 shoes. They didn't ask to be born, and they didn't ask to be born into a poor third world country. But we're not going to stand by and do nothing about it. And and I know it's a sad reality that that this world is becoming worse and worse, and we're going to have more SJWs like Candace and her welfare friends. But that's not how we live our life. I mean, the world is required to have a majority of welfare, hateful, jealous people like them. And it's always successful. People are always going to be a small group, a small minority. And we're always going to feel like we're fighting an uphill battle, because their numbers are large and they are very organized. But the fact that we're more successful, we're always going to be smarter than them, and we're always going to be happier than them, is going to be a simple fact that they're just going to have to live with. And we're going to be here telling them along the way how happy we are, and to increase their misery and suffering, because we're not going to be joining their party of their misery and suffering. Don't worry, there's plenty of people that there's plenty of misery and suffering already in your group. And no matter what you do, we are never going to join your group. But Candace, her husband, and the rest of your group, there's a lot of people like you, and you guys can organize and you can get together and you can feel good about being failures, being career failures yourselves, failures in family, failures in your careers, failures in school, failures in education. But that's not what we preach over here. You have become successful in your life, and you deserve to be successful in your personal life also. And we are here to let you know that yes, there is a price to pay. And because of your success, you have no problem paying that price so you can have it all. Even though the system that is installed over here is designed for you to fail. Just like Paul McCartney, because of alimony, he failed, and the system failed him and made sure he failed, even though he was a legend and a Beatle. But that doesn't mean, just like with any system, you can get around the system, and it doesn't have to apply to you. Just because you're successful, just like Paul McCartney, you don't have to end up a failure like Paul McCartney, losing $50 million for one woman with one leg. Imagine what's that going to be like, okay? It doesn't have to be you. And part of it is joining our community, because like I said, you cannot meet beautiful girls on your own. And even the people who turned on me know exactly what I'm talking about, because they can't meet beautiful girls on their own. They can try, but they'll fail miserably. And that's why they always come to me, because they're never going to meet beautiful girls on their own. It is just never possible. All right, let's go to the comments. Calvinson says, I have been working. Good. Jason says, hi. What about your conviction? You spent some of that time locked up. You said so. And yeah. Yes, I was locked up. Still, just because you're locked up doesn't mean you can be successful. So I'm poor, I'm minority, I'm ugly with a bad attitude, and I'm a criminal locked up conviction also. That doesn't mean I can't be successful in life. I can't be as successful in my professional life. And that doesn't mean I can't be successful in my personal life. And guess what? We're so successful. Not only do I have a house already in a very nice community here that only other expats living in slums could only dream about because they're utter miserable failures themselves. I live with people next to me that are tycoons, that are using helicopters to fly around to their yachts. I don't have a yacht myself or a helicopter myself, but I can buy a house thanks to our friends, for our friends. That's how successful we are. Not me, but we are successful. So you can take your convictions, you can take your you can take your haters, you can take your channels being deleted, you can take your strikes and stick it as far as you can, up your, as far as you can. But we are still going to be successful, and we are going to buy a house with this success. Thank you very much. And like I said, even these SJWs are part of the system also. All right. I need these people to motivate me. All right. Maybe I needed this conviction to motivate me to retire early because I didn't want to keep living a life like that. And just like this channel being deleted, I needed to get off my ass so I could build this house. And build this house is not a home unless it's filled with love and friendship. And our success will continue. Jason Goodman has been lurking all night. I wanted to wait to make sure the trolls didn't show up. Okay. I think they did show up, but there were just too many moderators moderating them. Because he was massively embellishing the story. I think it was only home confinement for a few months. Home confinement for a few months? Seriously. Okay, Pico, let's talk about it. Jason and Pico, let's talk about it since you guys brought this up. Okay. I think the SJWs we're talking about, I think the restitution, if memory corrects me, let's talk about this, okay? Since you guys brought it up, all right? This will be the last thing I talk about. It's going to be very funny, okay? The restitution was $195,000. I repeat, $195,000. Now, let's put this in perspective, okay? A toilet seat in the space shuttle probably cost more than that. And it probably cost more than that to hire a supervisor. It probably costs $300,000 a supervisor, $300,000 a year to supervise that, so they can hire like some Mexican that pays him only minimum to install that toilet seat. So the restitution and this conviction that everybody was talking about for $195,000, when they'll spend that more than that on a toilet seat on the space shuttle, and they'll spend $300,000 to pay a supervisor to have the seat installed, so they can pay a Mexican minimum to just have it installed, is the funny part. And so when we talk about $195,000, let's talk about it in perspective, okay? Because I bet you about half of that, you're talking about $150,000 of that probably just went into the cost of the prosecution itself, because you've got judges, you've got lawyers, you've got auditors, you've got accountants, you've got secretaries, you've got investigators. So to even get this conviction done, they probably spent more than $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 just to get $195,000. So okay, so this conviction took a $500,000 to get the conviction finally, after what, 5 or 6 years of ongoing prosecution. Okay, prosecutors, public defenders, investigators, lawyers, judges, secretaries, paralegals, police enforcement, the person, all those people, those 20 people that had to arrest me, and then the jail people, the jails, all those cost money. And you're talking about at least $500,000. So you're talking about the government, the taxpayers, spent $500,000 just to collect $195,000. And to think about it, right? That doesn't make any economic sense. So obviously, these people are not doing it for the money, because this kind of billing, or this kind of medical billing, goes on a daily basis. Okay, people order tests all the time, they perform procedures all the time, and you're talking about this Medi-Cal, Medicare. You're talking about it takes about a year and a half to 2 years before anybody can actually do any billing. So you're going to actually do a year to 2 years worth of work without getting paid. And then when you actually bill the government for, you make these demands from the government to get paid for all your work. Okay. So let's talk about it. Right. So you're talking about, even at $100,000 for 2 years worth of work, that's it. You mean the government spent $500,000 worth of prosecuting and all kind of work just to recoup $195,000? Does that really make sense? The only time it makes sense is when it becomes personal. Okay, when you have the government over here with a lot of money and with a lot of resources, they can kind of pick and choose who they want to prosecute, whether it makes sense economically or not. Yes, they can go after somebody that's already, we're talking about maybe, talking about millions and millions of dollars, but only for something for $195,000. Does that make sense? When there's these hospitals that are billing the government millions of dollars per day, and you're talking about this one person, then it's usually, the point is, I'm saying here, is the government doesn't go after anybody on any kind of financial level unless it's in the millions and millions of dollars. Okay, it's not worth for them to prosecute. It's not worth it for them to spend the time. It's not worth it for them to spend the resources unless it has become personal. Then you're guilty of what? All right, then the crime you're guilty, then like I said, then the crime I'm guilty of is just because I was just too good. Because that $195,000, I could have easily wrote a check, paid it back, and says, I have nothing to do with you guys. But no, we want to make it a federal, what do you call that? We want to make it a felony instead. You really want to make this a felony? You really want to spend all that? Oh, yes, we do. But it's just over money, right? I'll just write you a check for it like I did now. Yeah, but we want to make sure you have a felony conviction over it also. Are you sure you want to do that? Why? Because you have it all. You've got the looks, you've got the talent, all your patients like you, everybody likes you, everybody's jealous of you, you've got this nice family, you've got this nice house. Hell, your watch even costs more than my car, that this company car that I work for working for the government, and I hate it with all this bureaucracy. So you're guilty of having it all. And I'm here, it's my job to make sure that you don't have it all. And I said, sure, you can take it, but I'm still going to have it all. Just like you're thinking that you could take these channels and you still think I'm not going to be able to go on, and we're not going to be able to have, no, now because of you, we can have a house now. Now because of you, we can finally form our pop group now. So just put it in perspective. That kind of money is absolutely nothing for the government. Like I said, I could have easily wrote a check for it, which I did. Just wrote a check for it, cash, after taxes. Okay. And I was still in my, how old was I? I was still what, 33, 34 when I wrote that check after taxes. You know how long it takes people to make $200,000 after taxes? And here I am writing a check for it. That's how good I was. And I was being guilty of being too good. And that's without any help from any government assistance. And that's because I am that good. And just like I am that good right now, that me and my friends in our community could put a house together just by using the same YouTube community that took us down, will be the same YouTube community that will bring us to the next level again. That's how you put that $195,000 into perspective, because it wasn't about the money. It was because you were too good, just like you're too good right now. And we're going to slap you with a felony conviction, a federal felony conviction, when it could easily been written a check for it. Hell, I could have written twice that amount of check for it because I was just that good after taxes. All right. But it doesn't change my schedule. I'm still going to retire. It just proves to me that this is no longer a system that I want to work in, because that's all they're going to keep doing to me all the time. Every time I reach another level, they're going to keep coming back at me. They're going to look for something else. I'm not your whipping boy anymore. I'm going to take my life. I'm going to live it the way I want it. And I want to have it all. And I want to have it now. And I'm going to take me and some of my friends with me also to do the same thing. That's what you could do with your $195,000. And I'll write a check for it again easily. Pico is disclosing some stuff publicly that should be private, but I'll let him talk about it. So, Jason, does that answer your question about the conviction? Yeah. Pico says, yeah, that $195,000 that I wrote a check for the government was laughable. Like I said, the government pays $200,000 for, like I said, what is it for Goldman Sachs? The government went after Goldman Sachs, and Goldman Sachs paid what, like $3 or $4 billion to the government just so they made a deal. Hey, the Goldman Sachs here says, here's $4 billion. So that way we don't have to admit to anything being guilty, right? Now, if I had $3 or $4 million, I probably would have gotten away with no conviction whatsoever. But the case already went, right? So I said, okay, fine. Here's a check. Now what do you got? This conviction. What do you think it's going to do, right? I own my own business. I don't need. Since I own my own consulting. People come to me regardless of what these people do to me or not, because of my skills, because of my expertise, because of my talent, and because of my conviction to succeed no matter what odds, because of my character. I have more character in my little tiny pinky fingernail over here than all you SJWs combined. That's how much character I have. And it's all going to make you stew in your own juices, because you will never be able to amount to anything. Let's go to the comments very quick over here. It says, well, the golf course, house, and 2 condos in Makati were all now deleted videos. Yes, I do have videos of my condos in Makati, one in Greenbelt and one in Rockwell. And yes, I do have videos of my house on the golf course. And I'm not, and I have actually people I interviewed. I was going to upload videos I actually interviewed of people that stayed in my condos. I actually did upload them when I was renting that out before I started BebotsOnly. That was my fill in life, was just managing the condos. But then I moved from the condos to BebotsOnly because I found people more exciting than real estate. But now I go back into full circle, where now I'm managing our house again, but this time it's for our friends. So Pico says that, Paul, do the math. I wasn't going to say it. Yeah, but Pico says, but he's much wealthier. Of course, you're much wealthier. But I'm not going to complain. We're all successful no matter what. We just reach a certain level. But yes, Pico, that's why I work for you. And the problem with working for Pico is I can't remember how long I've been working for him, but I've never had a day off, and he's never given me a raise. So thank you very much, Pico. Pico, you're my not only do I work for you, but you're my friend and you're my brother and you're a part of our brotherhood. Thank you very much, Pico. Pico saying, well, you never know, Pico. The future is not ours to see. So, I mean, we make our plans, but the best laid plans. So you don't know what the future holds in store for you when you actually move here to the Philippines. So it's nice to have that we have our own place if you do need it. It's better to have it and not need it than not have it. But in case you need it, we have it. Pico says, yes, this was a group effort. I know. Shineman says, amen. I'm not sure what he's saying amen to because I'm kind of late on the comments. Let's go to the mail over here. So I didn't get any contributions. They're not, like I repeat, they're not donations. They're contributions towards our expenses for making content. We make content for our friends, and that's where the contributions, people make contributions to the expenses to cover the costs of the content and my success. So those people thought, just like the people that thought by deleting my channels, it's going to make me a failure, just like they are in their jobs. But instead, it just motivated me more to become even more successful at an earlier age. And I said, okay, I have a schedule now, all right? Where I was like, okay, I want to make sure I do this, I do that, and by the time the kids were born, we're ready to relocate, retire, and be able to sustain here in the Philippines. Yes, granted, not as rich as Pico because I kind of missed the window when it comes to his investments. I mean, his investments came a year after. We're talking about I moved here in 2007, 2008, and that investment was in 2009. So I mean, I can't really blame myself for not being there when it happened. I mean, you got to be at the right place at the right time. But I did the most I could with the situation that I have, and I'm pretty happy with it. And yes, people may be more successful with me than me in their professional life, but I hold the keys to their success in their personal life, especially if they want it with a beautiful woman. Because I repeat, even Mining Free will say that the locals will never let you have access to the beautiful girls. And since Mining Free is a local now, he has access to all the beautiful girls that he wants, which will never be accessed by foreigners unless you pay the price and pay the catch. And our catch is very upfront. And one of the things that we're going to be doing upfront is our house. It's going to be a beautiful house. It's going to be filled with love, laughter, merrymaking, food, wine, song, dance, beautiful friends, successful friends. It's going to be epic. The best is yet to come. And it was all started because, and it was jump started. I mean, it was going to happen eventually. And it was jump started after all these years because the channels were no longer there for me to worry about. Now I can worry about bigger and better things. Just like the conviction, I was worried about bigger and better things now. It's like, okay, now I can concentrate on my retirement now that I don't have to work with these people or for these people anymore because I don't want to work with these people. Okay, if that's what they want to do to me, then I'm going to take my talent and my conviction and my perseverance and my love somewhere else where people will appreciate it. And here we are. And you people are going to have to stew in your own juices because I'm still strong. I'm still standing and I'm still successful. And I'm going to take my friends, just like Pico, who's more successful than me, to places that they've never been so they can have it all, even though the system is designed for you to fail for failure, just like these SJWs. But there's hope for you SJWs yet. You don't have to be a SJW anymore. All you have to do is stop and reassess and look at yourself in the mirror and say, today is the day I'm not going to be an SJW anymore, and join the living. Okay. Instead of these people that are just walking zombies, join this, like, you don't waste it like Candace and her husband, where they're just going to watch NASCAR and get fat while on government welfare. That's not what your life, that's not your purpose in life. Okay. But the problem is there's so many people on welfare right now that it's just so easy for them to stay in welfare because it's such a big group of you and there's like a big support group. And and like I said, they make more money. I mean, even though there's Mexicans that have jobs and they're complaining that, there's no jobs, but the Mexican can get jobs. And the reason why they won't go work is because, like I said, they make more money being on welfare than it is for them to work. And the Mexicans don't have access to welfare. That's why they have to work, and that's why they have jobs. Now, there's going to be some people that deserve to be on welfare. But just because you're welfare, just because you're fat, doesn't mean you deserve to be on welfare. Just because you're lazy doesn't mean you're on welfare. If you have a strong mind, if you're able-bodied, you don't deserve to be on welfare. Okay, I'm not on welfare. My rest of my friends are not on welfare. But for those people, these SJWs that are attacking our channel and their group are on a welfare, and they're living a life of misery. And I always say there's worse things in life than death, and that's living in misery and suffering. All right, I think I went on and on too much already. It's already 1:30, and I'm going to move on with the rest of the things that I need to do and get ready for Michael B's trip. And so let me take this moment and start thanking everybody. Pico, thank you very much. I can't thank you enough. Anthony S, thank you very much. And I'm not going to say who they are, but our community, our brotherhood, for getting together and say, all right, we only need $5,000 between us. That's nothing. And it was true. I said, it's true. It's nothing. And I said, I can do this now that I don't have the channel to work with. I was worried. I had a lot of things that I was afraid of because that would take away from the channels, the successful channels I already have. I mean, if I already have a successful channels, do I really need a house? Now that I have successful channels, okay, then we need the house. Then we'll get more houses. Then we'll get more people in our community. And we're going to have more friends. Just like the friends that you saw in the unlisted video. And that girl, I don't know, I'm going to see her soon. And I want to see her soon again. But you should have seen her, how she had this cute little angel face. And she was just sitting there on the stairs. And just my heart just melted. And I wanted to, and I want to make sure, and this is what it's all about. I mean, it's not about the views. It's not about AdSense. It's just taking this life and giving it, breathing life into it, so it will have its full potential into something beautiful, instead of, and then into this other extreme where it's like this 8th grader with this 4-month-old now, and she's like, she can't even finish high school now because of this, of what happened. And we are going to parlay our success, and we're going to transfer this success to our friends. And these SJWs on the other side of the world, you're just going to have to keep living in misery. And that's just going to be an icing on our cake. The fact that we're going to enjoy our success, and we're going to have special people to enjoy our success with, while you guys commiserate in your own failures, no matter what, is going to be icing on our cake. Our happiness is going to be much more appreciated, and it's going to be much more, because remember, you're not going to appreciate how thin you are if you're not surrounded by fat people. And the fact that these failures are going to remind us every day of what we left behind, it's going to make us be more appreciative and be more happier with our success when we have these SJW failures that hate themselves. That will remind us that how beautiful life is when you're successful, because there's nothing worse. There's worse things than death, and that's living your life in miserable failure constantly. but it's never too late. Any more SJWs out there? I think they've had enough of me lecturing them. I Man, no more comments. See, this is back to where our normal usual is. It's just me talking and just a bunch of moderators now just listening. So we achieved what we were trying to do, drove the trolls away because they got tired of me lecturing them, telling them, reminding them how miserable failures they are and how happy we are with our success, how happy I am with my success, how happy I am with our friends. And it's these friends that our friends over here, our successful friends, are going to become friends with and start enjoying their life again. We can learn to live again. We can learn to love again. We don't have to live in, because if you don't have anybody special to share your success with, then your success is meaningless, is the important part. Pico says, yeah, but they could always make new channels, new accounts. So I would have to say it's probably a combination of your heavy-handedness and me just reminding them about how your success is gonna parlay into your success, into your personal life, but versus them, they have no success and either. And we are here to remind them, even in light of the channels getting deleted, because look, it's like, what are you going to do now that we're going to buy a house? These people can't even afford to rent, let alone buy a house. So now they're going to have to live with the fact that we are buying a house. Thanks to you, Pico. You're part of it also. So you're the one twisting the pouring lemon juice on their misery over here, on their paper cut of misery here, Pico. These SJWs. All right. You guys really picked on the wrong person, because it's just going to make you more miserable. The more you pick on us, the more we're going to be successful, the more we're going to have friends, the more it's going to move us to be motivated to be more successful. And it's just going to add to your misery. Your homeless, welfare, trailer park, redneck, bunch of welfare. I mean, miserable failures. Okay. You got your ugly whatever, and you never, because you got your crack addict, trailer trash, whatever looking spouses over there, right? With no money, no job, no career. And then compared to us, right? We're building a home. So I'm going to keep reminding these SJWs every day of that, because it makes me happy. It just kind of warms the cockles of my heart knowing that. And I'm here reminding them that every day. And as long as they come here every day, I'm going to keep reminding them how miserable failures are. And so, you don't hear them talking about their successes, but that's all we do over here. It's talk about our success with our friends, even with joy. And now we are building another house. I really didn't want to get into more real estate, but if that's where we're supposed to go, then so be it. This time, this house is going to be for love. This real estate is going to be for love, for friends, for our passion, and for having it all. And we are going to have it all. And who says you can't have it all? Of course, the people who don't have anything, of course, will tell you that. And so that's pretty much all I got over here. So I'm going to be saying goodbye. So that's all I wanted to say about the economics of being poor. It's better to be $500,000 in debt and be a doctor or a lawyer than just be poor, just like Candace and her fat ass lazy husband, and just and not be. I guess they didn't want to go into debt, or they didn't want to go into debt into the government. Because the government will guarantee their loans. You just have to be in debt for the rest to the government. Everything has a price to pay. You have a price to pay, and they didn't want to pay that price. Well, if you don't want to pay that price, then you're not gonna go to college. You're gonna be uneducated, and you're not gonna have a job, just like her husband, because he didn't go to school. He didn't want to, because he didn't have any money. Of course, the government will guarantee your school loans so you can have a career. You just have to owe them. You have to owe the money to the banks. If you don't pay the banks, The government will pay the banks. Now you're going to owe the money to the government. Now that you didn't want to owe money to the government, then that's a choice you made. Now you don't have a career and you're not going to be successful. Of course, there's a lot of people that are successful out there without college education, but these people are not it, because they would rather collect welfare instead of start a business or take a risk. And that's probably the evil part of welfare, is when people are paid to just do nothing is probably the hard part. Of course, I would never be on welfare because I enjoy doing stuff. I enjoy getting things done, and I enjoy people getting jealous of my success, of my hard work, of my self-made success. Cal Winston says, have fun with Michael B. Absolutely. And see you on the other side. Absolutely. Thank you very much, Anthony S. Even though we only got one contribution today, we got several generous contributions before talking to you, Pico. So thank you very much. We had a very, anytime we get a successful contribution, we have a very successful live stream. But if you're listening to the video on demand and you want to contribute to our cause, you want to contribute to our content, which we are still ongoing, it's still making unlisted videos, please make your contribution at BebotsOnly@yahoo.com. PayPal contribution at BebotsOnly@yahoo.com. As you can see, we don't have AdSense, we don't have Super Chat, we don't have Patreon. But if you want to make a contribution and you want to believe, and you believe that a person who is successful should have a successful personal life, then just like the rest of our friends, because there's no way you can come to the Philippines and be able to find a normal, beautiful girl on your own that you can turn into your own special soulmate, just like Joy. Because, like I said, everybody agrees, it's a fact that Christian would have never met Joy without me, because of me. And for that same reason, Americans can't go and see beautifuls. They'll get plenty of ugly pirates and donkey faces on their own, and Klingons with big forehead plates, just like the failed actor. And that's another thing. I mean, failed actor is a perfect example, is you can't have it all. The failed actor, I mean, he might have the looks, he might have the body, he might have the chiseled features, but the problem with him is he's a homosexual. He's a closet homosexual with a donkey that's I think married to a donkey face on top of it. And to add insult to injury, he can't act. That's why everybody likes him, because there's such a large population that are miserable failures like him. I mean, he might have the looks, but he's a complete miserable failure in everything else. He can't act. His personal life, he can't have kids, because the reason why he doesn't have kids is because he only has sex with other men, and homosexuals can't get pregnant. That's why they don't have kids. Okay. And people are going to say, oh, you're talking about other vloggers. Again, I didn't mention anything specific. I just said the failed actor. I didn't say his name. But if the boot fits, wear it proudly. So I'm going to go. The rest of IRL, real life, is calling to me. And besides, I got to have lunch. I'm starving, and everybody else has to go to sleep. And I got to get to Michael B. And I will have the same compassion and dedication as when you finally come here on your, you just wait in line when your turn comes. And Michael B has waited in line, and it's his turn to come. And I will spend the time that he deserves. I'm going to have my own personal time also, like on Sundays. I need YFL to be with the kids, with the family. But the rest of the time, we are going to be good to go. Any questions? Any comments? Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Cal Winston. Thank you, Shineman. Thank you, Pico. Thank you, especially Anthony S., for our contribution during today's live stream. I can always count on Anthony S. for making his contribution and sticking it to all those trolls, all those haters, all those jealous motherfuckers out there, those SJWs. I can always count on my friends over here, especially Anthony S., for sticking it to them, saying, hey, you can delete our channels, but you can't keep a good community of brothers down. Okay, it's always the brothers, bros. Well, bros of always, bros. I don't want to say bros before hoes, but brotherhood. Thank you for supporting us. And now, not only do we have car repairs, not only have car registration, we have a house. Oh, by the way, a quick update on Marcus. I was talking to him earlier. He gave me an update. of course he sent the girl money, like I said. He sent $40, and it's not about the amount. I said it's always about the principle, is because you don't want to give them any money when you're not there. I'll give you a perfect example. Okay, you know what makes girls horny? Money. There's some girls that get horny because of alcohol, but that's really few and far in between. But universally, you want to get a girl horny, like flash money around her, like show her money, like money. Nothing makes a girl hornier than money. I mean, specifically, if you marry in a relationship, in a marriage, if a marriage has a lot of money, then there's a lot of sex. But if a relationship has no money, then what you have is like a sexless marriage. And of course, there's situations, even though there's a lot of money, and even though there's still no sex. That's what you call an American marriage, by the way. But over here in the Philippines, if you got a lot of money, you're gonna have a lot of sex, and it doesn't, and that could be with your wife, or at least with your wife, right? So if you have a lot of money, and if you don't have any money, there's still a lot of people that have a lot of sex over here, but that's a lot of it has to do with their time. People might not be rich in money over here, but they're rich in time. So, but the point is, people with a lot of money will have a lot more sex here, especially in the Philippines. The point I'm saying over here is that money makes girls horny. It's just the aphrodisiac effect of money, because it has a enlightening effect, especially in the Philippines when people are poor. I repeat, money makes girls horny. So now, if you send a girl money, especially a lot of money like that, you talk about take her a whole month to save for, it's going to make her horny. All right. And the problem when you make her horny is that you're on the other side of the world when you send her money. Okay. And guess who she's going to be horny with this money? Of course, her local boyfriend. All right. And that's what you do when you send money, is when you send money is you make girls horny. Okay. They'll start taking off their clothes for you, right? And they'll give you a show. But when the camera is off, now who's going to satisfy their horniness now that you gave them money, right? Their local boyfriends, of course. So after he sent money, like I told him, once you start sending money, I can't be a party to it, right? Because the money is about being horny for her local boyfriend now, not for me, not for you, not for anybody. Because there's so many dangers to sending money to somebody and not getting anything in return for it, because that from now on. So after he sent money, and she said she used it to go on to, he specifically said she used it so she could go to visit her dad's cemetery or funeral. She used the money to go do that. I mean, she could do that anytime. She doesn't need his money to do it. And I don't even know if that picture was current or anything like that. She might have used an old picture and just sent it to him. Of course, you never know. You don't know. The only way to know is to know. You never know what the money is sent for. And those pictures could be fake. They could be doctored. They could be old pictures. I don't know. All right. And it could be spent on the cemetery, going to the cemetery, or it could have been spent on red horse and tattoos for the boyfriend. They could equally be just as valid. Okay. I would probably argue more for the tattoos and the red horse. The point from now on is she's no longer interested in him. She's interested in her local boyfriend, that she satisfies her when she's horny, versus him, because he's the one, because he's on the other side of the world and he can't be here to satisfy her. So he's only interested in his money. Okay. And of course, the only natural thing to happen after this is the girl is going to ask for more money, right? And of course, you could either give her more money or you could say no. He opted to choose to say no. I'm not going to give you any more money because it's the wrong thing to do. And the update is they stopped talking after that. And if he was the right thing for them to do is never send her money, because he was going to stop talking to her either way, whether he sent her money or not. Right now, the only way for her to keep talking to her is to keep sending her money so she can get horny with her boyfriend. And of course, there's no future in that. All right, that's why I told him I couldn't be a party to it. And so now he made the right decision, but the right decision that's a little too late because they're no longer talking, and she's no longer interested in him because she's just interested in his money that he sent, because she was able to enjoy what it's like to get money for absolutely nothing. And now that she knows what that's like, that's how she's going to live the rest of her life, is looking for that next scam or next financial windfall where she'll receive money for nothing again. She did it before, and now, thanks to Marcus, she can do it again, is the update. Chinaman says, boy, you know how girls work. I mean, it's not, you don't need a book for it. All right, hold on. We got some more emails. See if we get any more contributions. Nope, just more spam. So, like I said, for people who want to make contributions, please make your contributions at BebotsOnly@yahoo.com using PayPal. So, on that quick up or that long update, let me keep saying my goodbyes because, like I said, I am going to be busy. So I'm going to miss everybody. Of course, I want to talk to everyone on a regular basis. And I even sticking it to those trolls, right? Sticking it to those SJWs with their own miserable failures. I would love to talk about how we're doing, how much fun we're doing, but we're going to have to do it afterwards because I want to make sure that I give as much time as possible to increase the odds of the most. And not to worry, Michael B is going to be, like I said, he's going to be coming here on a regular basis. So if things don't work out as well this time, there's always going to be a next time and a next time. So no pressure, but he enjoys his time over here. Once he's discovered the how wonderful life is, could be here, how he's seen the potential for it to be so good that there's no way for him to go back. And it's not just him. Look at all the people from Thailand, the Thailand converts. They just kind of realize it's like even all these guys that could go to Thailand anytime. I mean, if you guys are looking for just having sex or pussy, I mean, Thailand will have better pussy, cheaper pussy, better all around pussy over there. But everybody is coming here. But the reason why people are coming here is not obviously not for that. And we've got a bunch of people from Thailand, from even Tom and Marcus, and like I said, even lawyer Mark. I would, even though they all have spent more time and even lived in Thailand and have investments in Thailand and are looking here in the Philippines for real relationships with BebotsOnly, is the reality. Not just one person, but a lot of people slowly realizing that, hey, yes, you can get pussy in Thailand, but for a relationship for the long term with a beautiful, normal girl that you can make in your own, like a Joy, requires a lot of hard work, and you can't do on your own, because if you do, you're going to end up having sex with lady boys instead. Anyway, that's the live stream. I think I've thanked everybody. And like I said, I'm going to miss everybody while I'm going to be busy. Well, I'm not going to miss everybody because I'm going to be too busy with Michael B. But like I said, I enjoy interacting with our community now that we got everything under control. We've got a lot of moderators now to help clean things up. It doesn't have to be Paul and Pico anymore. And I'll see you guys all. Thanks for joining. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And I'll see you guys in the next live stream. So good night, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are. This is BebotsOnly, and we will keep enjoying our success and enjoy having it all, even in the midst of all these people that are miserable in their own company. So this is BebotsOnly. Stop broadcast now.